So noting the time and the presence of a quorum, I call the Boxborough Finance Committee meeting to order. Tuesday, July 7th, it's 7 p.m. And just noting we have here, we have Maria Nayland, John Grieven, myself, Tony Newton. We have John Connor online. So we have a quorum. Also in the room we have Rajon Hudson, Assistant Town Administrator, Hongwa Lee, Finance Director, Gary Kushner, and Alan Ford. And also I noted online we've got Ed Kukula, we have Kate Davis, Becky Caruso, and Ian Gilson, who is Associate Town Planner. Okay, so first topic is the minutes of... Actually, we should do a roll call attendance, right? Because we're partly online. So we'll do a roll call attendance for the FinCom meeting. So, John Connor, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. Connor present.
Connor present.
Grevin present.
Nealon present.
And Newton present. So first topic is the minutes of June the 16th. Are there any comments on the minutes? I'll take a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so, roll call vote to approve. Connor?
Connor, aye.
Grevin, aye.
Nealon, aye.
And Newton, aye. Citizens' concerns. Any citizens' concerns from anybody? Okay, so we'll do. Next topic is the specialised stretch code presentation. So, Ian, do you want to take this one? Take it away.
Yeah, thank you very much, Anthony. I appreciate you and the FinCom's time and allowing myself to appear on the agenda. I'm going to pass this off to Becky Caruso in just a second after her introduction. So Becky Caruso is our CELT Fellow, the Sustainability's CELT Fellow. That's Clean Energy and Environmental Legacy Transition Municipal Fellow. The University of Massachusetts Lowell has been partnering with grad programs across the state to offer graduate students opportunities to work with municipalities in the attempts to kind of bring this energy transition, this clean energy transition, to municipalities like Boxborough and others across the state. She's done an excellent job over the past 6 months. We're very sad to see this is her last week, but she's done a lot of great work to put together some materials for the specialized stretch code. I'm going to let her tell us about the specialized stretch code. This is a presentation that she's been working on for some months now and bringing around to the various boards and committees within town, including the planning board, the select board, the sustainability committee. It's a great opportunity for the FinCom to get their hands on this and wrap their head around this, ask a lot of questions so that the sustainability can really digest those and hopefully bring this to town meeting later this year. Again, this is just kind of a listening session, a question session, and an informational session for you guys' benefits. So without further ado, I want to pass it over to our CELT Fellow, Becky Caruso, and I'll let her take it away for the next 20 minutes or so.
Great, thank you, Ian. Just going to share my screen real quick. There we go. Great. Like Ian said, my name is Becky Caruso. I'm the CELT Municipal Fellow for the town of Boxborough, specifically working with the Boxborough Sustainability Committee. I'm going to be talking to you guys today about the specialized stretch code. Basically, I will be providing an overview of the code and most importantly, just answer your questions and gather feedback. This is just meant to be a preliminary information session where we're just trying to introduce the code to various boards and kind of gather some feedback. So again, I'll talk about what the specialized stretch code is, the history of the code, what it means to adopt it. I'm going to be linking the potential cost impacts for Boxborough, specifically comparing the current stretch code with the specialized code. So what is the specialized stretch code? It is an addition to the current building stretch code that only applies to new construction. There's going to be no impact on additions or renovations for existing homes and buildings. The specialized stretch code encourages energy efficient, all electric new construction, and the specialized stretch code requires things such as pre-wiring for future electrification and solar readiness, meaning that homeowners are less likely to face those expensive retrofits later. The specialized code does not significantly increase energy efficiency requirements beyond the stretch code, and most importantly, adopting this code would help Boxborough to meet the state's target for reducing greenhouse gas emissions. So how does this fit into existing building codes? First, we have the stretch energy code. This was adopted at town meeting to require more energy efficient new construction. This code was adopted by around 300 communities in Massachusetts. The updated stretch code automatically went into effect for all those communities, including Boxborough, that initially adopted the stretch energy code. This was in 2023. And now we have the specialized energy code, which allows for communities to choose whether or not they want to adopt it. Here's a map showing where the specialized stretch code has been adopted in Massachusetts. In early June, around 60 towns have adopted the specialized code, which represents around 33% of the state's population. As you can see on the little call-out box on the right, neighboring communities like Harvard, Acton, and Stowe have all adopted the specialized stretch code. So why should Boxborough adopt this code? First, buildings are one of the largest sources of energy use in the community. According to the town's energy reduction plan, buildings account for over half, or 64%, of Boxborough's energy consumption, with natural gas representing a significant portion of that energy use. Because buildings constructed today are going to remain in service for decades, decisions made during construction can have a long-term impact on both emissions and operating costs. Boxborough is in a unique position to benefit from electrification because residents are served by Littleton Electric, which offers some of the lowest electricity rates in Massachusetts. The specialized code gives Boxborough an opportunity to ensure that future development is built with these advantages in mind. By encouraging all-electric new construction, the town can reduce future greenhouse gas emissions while also helping homeowners and building owners manage long-term energy costs. In short, Boxborough's low electric rates and future development opportunities make it well-positioned to benefit from the specialized code. So the next question becomes, what does this actually mean for construction costs and energy bills? So I've conducted several analyses on the potential cost impacts for Boxborough. To start, I've compared the cost of different fuel types per standard unit of heat using current prices and system efficiencies. The table on the right compares the effective cost per MMBTU, or standard unit of heat, for each fuel type. As you can see, air source heat pumps currently provide the lowest heating costs in Boxborough, again, using those Littleton Electric low rates. Moving forward, I wanted to look at the potential cost impacts on different building types in Boxborough. So the first is a single-family home of around 2,100 square feet. I compiled some case studies from Mass DOER to show that when it comes to building homes under the specialized code, there are multiple options. So the first is to simply build all electric, and in that case, there is no cost difference between building all electric under the stretch and the specialized code. But the other option under specialized code is to incorporate gas. In this case, the total additional cost to build a single-family home fueled by gas is around $18,920, and those are the additional costs above stretch code to reach specialized code. So this includes solar installation and pre-wiring for electrification. So under the specialized code, all electric homes can comply without additional solar or electrification ready requirements, while mixed fuel homes have to meet additional requirements, estimated at around $18,920. The next potential building scenario is a 6-unit multifamily home. Again, for all electric multifamily buildings, there is no cost difference between complying with stretch and specialized code. The requirements are the same, and there are no additional solar or electrification ready costs. For mixed fuel buildings, the specialized code requires additional measures to support future electrification, and those costs add approximately $7,579 per unit compared to the stretch code. But the key takeaway is that the specialized code does not prohibit mixed fuel buildings, but it does create an incentive for all electric construction by avoiding these additional compliance costs. And finally, I wanted to tie this into Boxborough's local context, specifically the new fire station. This is a useful example of how the stretch in the specialized code could affect a future municipal building. Under the stretch code, the building would likely still rely on fossil fuel heating systems, while under the specialized code, the building would follow an all-electric design approach, using cold climate heat pumps, heat pump water heaters, enhanced insulation, and potentially high-efficiency LED lighting. And this analysis shows that the specialized code would require a higher upfront investment, but it delivers significantly better long-term performance. Annual energy costs are estimated at approximately $16,000 to $20,000 under specialized code, compared to $35,000 to $40,000 under the stretch code. And in addition, greenhouse gas emissions would be reduced by roughly 80% compared to the stretch code building. Because Boxborough is served by Littleton Electric, again, one of the lowest electricity rates in Massachusetts, heat pumps are particularly cost effective. And as a result, the specialized code would have a shorter payback period of around 5 to 9 years, compared to 8 to 12 under stretch code. Overall, this analysis suggests that designing the fire station to meet the specialized code would provide some long-term benefits, including lower operating costs, reduced emissions, and more than $800,000 in estimated life cycle savings over the next 30 years. Moving forward, I want to talk a little bit about some funding and incentives that are available to Boxborough. Boxborough is in a strong position because it holds 2 state designations. First, Green Community Status, earned in 2024, and Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness, or MVP, designation. Both of these designations already make the town eligible for several funding opportunities that are listed at the top of this graphic. However, the most significant funding opportunities become available only after adopting the specialized stretch code. Specialized stretch code adoption is one of the requirements for Climate Leader Communities, or CLC, certification. This is Massachusetts' highest level municipal clean energy designation. By achieving CLC status, Boxborough would be eligible for 2 major grant programs, up to $150,000 for the technical support grant and up to $1 million for the decarbonization accelerator grant. It's also important to note that because Boxborough is served by a municipal light plant, the town is not eligible for some other state grants, so it is really important to leverage what is available to us. So the key takeaway is that adopting the specialized stretch code is not just a building policy decision. It serves as a gateway to additional state funding, and combined with the programs that Boxborough already qualifies for, specialized stretch code adoption could position the town to access more than $1.4 million in potential grant funding that could help offset the cost of future municipal projects, like the fire station. But moving forward, I have some recommendations for Boxborough. Starting immediately, Boxborough should apply to the grants that are available to them now, such as Green Communities. And then in the critical near-term step, advancing specialized stretch code adoption would be a hinge point for everything else. It could help unlock Climate Leaders Community certification, and then up to $1 million in associated grants with that certification. The 60 towns in Massachusetts have already acted on specialized stretch code, and every year that Boxborough waits is just another year that our neighbors are pulling ahead on those grants that we are eligible for. So thank you so much for the time to present to you on the specialized stretch code. Again, this is just a preliminary information session, and I would love to open the floor for some questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Becky. First, I'll just note that Michelle Ryan has joined us. Maybe you should say Ryan present or something like that.
Oh, sure. Ryan, present.
Thanks. And questions for Becky. I've got a couple of questions actually to start with. So one is, Becky, you showed us the towns that had adopted this stretch code and those that hadn't adopted it.
Yes.
Is that because they haven't applied for it yet, or have any towns actually said no to the stretch code?
That's a really great question. I don't have the exact data on what towns have voted against or versus for it, but I just know that there are 60 towns that have voted for it.
So you don't know if there's any towns that have voted against it?
Not off the top of my
Okay.
head.
And what are the downsides of adopting the specialised stretch code for a town, would you say?
Negatives to the specialized stretch code. I would say people are hesitant towards moving towards electrification because it costs more up front. But again, those are offset by those long-term energy savings. So I think maybe downsides would be the upfront costs, but after learning more about it, you learn that those are offset by those energy savings.
So if I'm building a new house and I want to put gas into my house, can I do that under this code?
Yes.
I can still do it, but I just have to put in all of the other wiring requirements for future electrification if I choose to do that. Is that correct?
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
And that cost was $18,000 for a 2,100 square foot house, based on the slide. that was
Yeah, yeah. And that was the one where there's a payback, right, of like 5 to 9 years or something.
I thought that was the
Is that-
fire station slide, but
That's
this
the
is the
fire
slide
station,
that
yeah.
we have. I don't know.
Yes. For
Yeah.
a single family home specifically, you'd be saving around $1,500 per year on your energy bill, according to the Mass DOER study.
Okay, so it's probably something like a 15-year payback, break-even point,
Yes.
right? Okay. Other questions?
Yeah, just so that the $1,500 payback is if you use the gas to heat your home, correct? In that scenario that you just talked about.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
right. So if someone like me, who probably would do a heat pump, but would pull a gas line because I'm a cook and I have a professional range that's gas, it would cost me $18,000 and the payback would not be $1,500 a year. Because I wouldn't be saving that because I would be using electric anyway to heat my home, correct?
I think in that case, it would be a little bit different in terms of the numbers. I think with their case study, they were just looking at simply either all electric or incorporating gas. But I think it would vary.
Okay. And I have another, so I guess.
Your scenario.
Okay, so this is just an observation, because this is the first time, if you go to the multifamily house slide, I think this is the first time I've seen this, or at least it's the first time that it's popped out at me, because I've seen this presentation 2 or 3 times, and I have to say, you always do a great presentation, so thank you very much. Everything's very clear
Thank you.
and but the issue, so my concern is on this multifamily house, if it's 6 units, the actual total cost is about $45,000. Almost $46,000 if you don't do the specialized code. And so, and I guess this is more just something that the FinCom can think about, and I think the Housing Board needs to think about. That makes multifamily homes more expensive to build. And in a town in which we're trying hard to figure out what moderately priced housing looks like, and how we get that, more of that in town, or affordable housing, this would add a substantial cost if the contractor needed to bring in gas as well, right? Of $45,000, because this makes it look like it's 75, but it's actually per unit is 75 or $7,600. So the total increased cost for a multifamily unit would be about 46,000. Am I reading that correctly?
Yes, I believe so. That is the cost per unit according to the state study. But again, this is just this will vary based on, the size of the multifamily units and the entire building as a whole. It's going to vary based on design and, of course, location. So this is more kind of like, just one example of what it could cost and look like.
Okay. And I guess my concern, because I've seen, the presentation, and you get asked a lot of good questions, and I appreciate that sometimes you incorporate those questions and the answers into your next presentation. With respect to the fire station, I just think I want to be clear, because I've seen this presentation and the fire station slide hasn't changed. I talked to Ian a little bit about this. We're doing everything we can to work, and we're going to meet with sustainability next week, to work on a building that is, as sustainable as possible, if not net zero, because that's almost impossible to do with a fire station, but we're trying to get close. We're looking at geothermal and all of that. So I think it's important that people understand with the slide, and you say there's, this much of a savings long-term, there's probably going to be that kind of savings anyway, because we're not looking to do, unless for some reason we need backup generators, and I'm not sure if they need to be natural gas, we're looking to do geothermal, all electric, heat pumps. That's what we're looking to do anyway. So that slide, I think for full transparency, we're already kind of at that stretch code. So adopting this stretch code isn't going to force that savings, because we're already looking at that to the best of our ability and cost, and we're going to look at the cost of how to do that. So I think that's really important. The other thing is, I was at the planning board meeting last night, and we're already talking about having a preliminary site plan in front of the planning board in September. The earliest this could be adopted, if it goes forward, would be November. So again, we're already going to be in site plan review. So there's some concern that I have as a fire station building committee member on how the timing on all this plays out. And so I know you're trying to tie it back to municipal buildings. I just want to be careful about tying it back to a fire station that may already be well down the process of site plan review. So those are my only comments.
Right. Thank you.
Michelle?
Yeah, I actually, maybe I missed this in the first 10 minutes that I wasn't here. So I understand the town incentives. I understand potential resident, tax benefits from the grant programs and funding we may receive as a town. But are there any additional benefits for residents who are building to this code? Like any partner programs, anything else that would incentivize people to spend the extra capital? Or is this just an upfront cost on residents who are trying to build?
I'd say that the major benefit to adopting this code for homeowners would be to protect future homeowners from those costly upgrades potentially in the future, where the state is requiring these buildings to be all electric. You might have to retrofit, or like I mentioned, pre-wire buildings for electrification, add in solar. If you already do that up front, you don't have to worry about spending that money later on. So I'd say that's the biggest, one of the biggest benefits.
Maybe I'm out of the loop. Is the state planning on requiring that?
Not that I know of, but.
Okay, so that's more of like a
I guess
speculative.
that's a question.
Yeah,
for,
maybe like a speculative potential future benefit. But to my knowledge, there's no upcoming requirement that residents will have to go into buildings that they own, that have already been built, and do a complete electrification. Is that correct?
Maybe my boss, Kate Davies, can answer that.
I just unmuted. Kate, you should be able to unmute.
Go ahead, Kate.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks very much. Yeah, it's a great question. We know that the state is trying to move municipalities using policy changes towards more energy efficient buildings. That is what the net zero sort of policies are aiming to do. So even the stretch code has become more stringent over time, and those policy changes are not something that are optional. They're just put in place. So I think what we're trying to do with this by adopting this code proactively is, you know, kind of protect anybody who's building a home now from those likely future changes that might become, that we don't know what they would be specifically, but we know that the state is supportive of all electric homes because that's how we most easily achieve net zero. And so that's really the goal, is just if we can encourage people now, then we know that they're going to save money later. And they'll be building these, you know, very efficient homes at basically not an additional cost, right? The stretch code, if you build all electric, is not an added cost to a developer. So I think that's the really important takeaway here. And in fact, with Littleton Electric, we have incredible savings that people can make on, you know, running the home once it is built all electric, because our electricity rates are the lowest in the state.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for that answer. I think maybe I'm just voicing a concern that we're making that decision for people at this point in time by adopting this particular code. That makes completely logical sense, and I understand the urge and the desire, but without further incentives for people to spend the added upfront cost of full electrification.
But it's not an added upfront cost. That's the point.
Sorry, could you go back a few slides then? Maybe I misunderstood.
Yeah, the added costs come in if somebody chooses to build. Actually, can you go to the next one, Becky, the one that shows the multifamily homes?
Yes.
Because I wanted to make that point as well. The additional costs only come if somebody chooses to build a mixed fuel home. And in particular, if we're considering like the amount of building that's actually going on in Boxborough for like single family developments is not very much. If somebody was going to build a new multifamily unit, like a developer was going to build a new multifamily unit and we're worried about affordability in that space, it's very unlikely that a developer is going to choose to make that a mixed fuel home anyways. So that's an additional cost to build under the specialized code, but you know, it's an additional cost presumably under the stretch code as well. So building all electric is not an added cost for a developer. It's in fact, and what it does is it actually future proofs the users of those units, because it means that they are going to be locked in to very affordable housing, to very affordable costs to run that home. So Becky, can you just show the costs across the different fuel types? Because if you allow people to, you know, if people are in a situation where they're only using air source heat pumps or other all electric homes, that's the cheapest one for them to run. So it is the most affordable option. So encouraging our developers, any development that goes on in Boxborough, to go down this path is actually really supporting the most affordable option for anybody who's living in our community. This is one of the reasons it's really pushed by environmental justice communities across the state, because this is the most affordable and the most fair option. It's the most equitable option.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely think that's one perspective, and it's a great perspective, and I understand like this relative cost chart makes a lot of sense. And also I think there's a lot of like predictive speculative language around this that I'm not super personally comfortable with. And it does remove choice, which might not, maybe it's just a timing thing for me, but that's just my personal.
It doesn't remove
Personal
any
2 cents.
choice. It doesn't remove any choice though. People can still choose to build in mixed use if they want to. That choice is absolutely embedded in the specialized stretch code. It's just that they would be choosing a slightly more cost ineffective option, but that choice is absolutely there.
Yes, I understand. Thank you.
It's interesting that natural gas is very comparable in cost to the air source heat pumps. I'm surprised at that, because I always thought these heat pumps were so inexpensive to run, but natural gas actually comes out pretty good on this comparison. The other thing I've heard about heat pumps is that if it's very, very cold, they don't work very well. And a lot of people in houses, they say they need to keep their alternative source for those really cold days, because the heat pump just won't cut it when it's minus 20 outside or something.
Right, and that's kind of why I'm pushing this mixed, sorry if I could just finish, this mixed choice option, the cost increase with mixed choice, that's actually not really an option. As we're facing climate change and we're facing colder winters and hotter summers, the heat pump, as someone who has a mixed home and purposefully did that when I was moving in, the heat pump does not keep up with really, really cold days. And
Or
that can be
really, really
dangerous.
warm days.
Or
like,
really, really
right,
warm
'cause-
days.
Yeah.
I've had my alternate source kick in several times over the past winter, and I expect it to kick in over the summer. So to me, like, while you're saying that it's more efficient, I think there's limitations to an all-electric home that maybe aren't super well explored here, which is fine. Like, right, this is one option, this is one perspective. I just don't want to shy away from the limitations that it, you know, kind of incentivizes folks towards something that might not be supportive in the future. Anyway, that's just me.
Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
have anything?
John, yeah, John
Bring
Green.
up?
No, I mean, I've had less on this because I'm the liaison for the sustainability, and we've talked about this in some meetings in some form or another, and the rest of you have kind of covered a lot of those concerns.
Yeah.
But thank you.
Yeah. John Connor, any questions for you?
Yeah, I mean, to that point, Catherine or Becky, I mean, do you have any comment on whether heat pumps can sustain warmth in the cold?
Yeah, so the heat pumps are, with every year, the technology improves dramatically. You know, a heat pump that was installed 5 years ago might struggle a little bit in negative 20-degree weather or below, but a heat pump installed this year is much more efficient and going to do a better job. The technology just is improving in leaps and bounds. So I think that while that has been historical concern, it's less and less of a real issue with every passing year. And like I said, this is the way that most affordable homes are being built, is all electric, with the idea that it's protecting families from rising costs in terms of other fuels. And it is, I think, a very safe and efficient way to both heat and cool your homes all across the state. People, especially with the newer ones, there's really not any issues with it these days.
Yeah,
Alan,
it's
a question.
because-
Alan.
Hold on one second, because I'm in the
Oh.
same boat with regard to heat pump. And so when you say that the latest heat pumps are able to do that, I mean, what level of heat pump? You know, there's, I think, it's SEER ratings on the heat pumps, and there's the low end to the high end. And the high end are extremely expensive, and they would not be in any way covered by any state aid, state grants, or anything like that. You know, what level do you have to buy to get the heating in the winter?
I would say that's not necessarily something we'd be prepared to go into a lot of depth right now, but it is a good question for us to potentially address as part of the kind of package of moving this forward. What I can tell you is that the towns that have adopted this, many of our neighbors and 60 towns across the state, which is a substantial number of folks, are not seeing any major issues in terms of this, like in terms of people freezing in the winter or anything like that. It's not slowing the development in those towns, and I think that we can be certain that the technology that is available is going to keep people safe and healthy.
You done, John? Is that your?
I'm good.
Yeah. Alan Ford. And
Hi. I live in a house in Boxborough that has 2 air-to-air heat pumps and 1 air-to-water heat pump that generates the hot water for the house. And I want to speak about the idea that when the temperature gets below 20 or 15 degrees, the backup heat comes on, and that's absolutely true. Electric resistance coils that are in the air handlers come on to help the house get up to temperature so the heat pumps can continue to keep the house at temperature. But I'm also a member of the Fire Station Building Committee, and one of the things we're looking at, of course, are heat pumps. But we're not looking at air-to-air heat pumps. One of the alternatives we're looking at is ground-to-air heat pumps, where we have geothermal wells that use the water in the ground as the source of the heat. And that water in the ground rarely gets below 50 degrees. So there's a lot of heat concentrated in the water that you don't get out of air-to-air heat pumps. And it's the same in reverse when you go to cool the building. When the outside air is really hot, it's hard for the heat pump to be efficient and dump inside heat to the outside when the outside's so hot. But again, year-round, it's 50 degrees underground in the water, and in the summer, the air-to-water heat pump dumps the heat to the water in the ground, not to the air, so it's a lot more efficient. And I just want to make sure that we understand that I think in the case of the fire building, the firehouse, we're talking about groundwater to air heat pumps, not air-to-air heat pumps. And we've yet to decide if we're going to do it, but that's one of the things that we're looking at. The other unrelated question to this, if I may, one of your early slides, I think, said something about 60% of the energy in Boxborough is used in buildings. Well, what's the other 40%?
I actually thought
we
about
don't
the
have
same thing,
streetlights.
and I was like, I must be missing something.
Unless
Like,
you're
I
saying,
just,
I'm confused what the other nearly 40% of the energy is used for, if not buildings.
yeah, we don't have streetlights.
Like
But
I
even
mean,
if we did, they're not going to be 40%
Yeah.
of the town's
EV
usage.
charging?
Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yes, this came straight from the town of Boxborough's energy reduction plan. I could try to pull it up and get that answer for you as quick as possible, but I believe maybe Ian might have more to say on it.
Yeah, I'm pulling that up as well because I do recognize that number from the energy reduction plan, so I can try to pull it up as well. I found it right here. That was 64%, was it?
Yes.
Yeah, it says 64% community
Yeah,
energy use.
So, let me make sure I have this before I start. 64%.
Yes, the other in that graph that I pulled it from were vehicles, street and traffic lights, water, sewer, and open space. And the second highest would be the vehicles.
Water and sewers, we don't have sewers, so,
Yep. Sorry, not to.
No,
cut you
that's
off.
okay.
I do want to say, on the next page, it only shows buildings and vehicles. This is a measure that they did, the energy source who did this has used in multiple communities. So it shows buildings and vehicles, and then street light, traffic, water, sewer, and open space are essentially at zero. So really, it's just buildings are that 64%, and then vehicles are the remaining.
so the charging of vehicles is 40% of the consumption of the energy used in Boxborough? Is that what I'm understanding?
I don't believe it's charging of vehicles. I believe it's
Driving around.
all vehicle usage in Boxborough.
So by energy, you're not talking electric, we're talking about
No,
total
we're talking-
energy.
Fuel equivalent.
Okay,
Yeah, it's measured in MBT, BTUs, MMBTUs.
okay. So that makes more sense, that's clearer,
Okay.
That
But how
makes
do they
much
work
more
that
sense.
out?
but I don't know how they
How
work
do you
that out.
work out how much energy I'm using in my car? Because if I drive over the line to Acton, am I now not using it in Boxborough?
I think a few assumptions were made here.
Yeah, you have to make a lot of assumptions to.
May I ask one more question?
Yeah, go ahead,
Tony?
Alan, yeah.
My last question has to do with the idea that in building the new firehouse, we're going to have a backup electric generator, certainly. And the electric generator, of course, is going to run on a fossil fuel. What kind of a penalty are we likely to incur because it's not going to be a fossil fuel-free site if we have to put a fossil fuel fire generator in place?
Well, we do
That's a
have to be
great
clear,
question.
not if we have to put a generator in place.
Well, there's a way to do it with batteries and so on, too.
Okay,
But it's a giant expense.
right.
I would say I've definitely looked into if backup generators do not, like if they prevent a building from being all electric. And I've looked at the Commonwealth's technical guidance that follows the specialized dredge code. And it says that if the generator is outside of the building and any piped connection to the natural gas line occurs fully outside of the building, the structure can still be considered all electric. So there's definitely some room to have a backup generator and still be considered an all electric building.
That's good news. Thank you for the answer.
So can I follow up on a couple of things? So just to be clear, I understand, Kate, when you were saying that doing a multifamily building, all electric, long-term is great for the renters, right? Presumably, the owners, long-term, that saves them money. But I'm talking about the upfront costs and what it's gonna cost if for some reason a developer, because what I've heard from developers and realtors is, this is not saving money, this is not as, this is gonna cost them money. That's what I've heard from multiple different builders and realtors. So I have a real concern around that because there's not really been an answer. All I keep hearing about is this is gonna be better in the long run and it's gonna save money. And what I'm hearing from the building people are, no, it's not, it's gonna cost us money. So I think we need to have better conversations with different stakeholders. And I've said this at the select board meeting as well. The other question that I haven't heard answered yet is, this doesn't include renovations. So if I renovate my house, even if I put a second floor on and I add 3,000 square feet to my existing 1,700 square foot house, this does not affect that at all. But what if I keep my house and now the new thing is ADUs, whatever, I'm gonna give one of my house to one of my daughters because, I don't know, she cooked me dinner one night and I've decided she's the one who gets my house and I'm gonna live out back in an ADU. Do I get penalized if there's already gas on the property and I pull a gas line back there? Is that considered a renovation or is that considered new construction? And I know this question's been asked a couple of times, and I'm just wondering if you've come up with an answer on that yet.
Yes, that's, again, great question. I've been asking a ton of people the same question, specifically some contacts at DOER, and they have been telling me that new construction is simply new buildings, and that's as straightforward as they've been telling me. I've been asking about ADUs, and again, I'm trying to get a clear answer. So,
I mean, technically, it's a new building, right? Technically, it's a new building in my backyard somewhere. So
if our understanding is that if it was connected to the existing building,
right,
then it would count as a renovation, and if it was disconnected from the existing building, then it would count as a new build. So those are, if you're building an ADU, it's not a 2,100 square foot building. It's not going to cost the same if you wanted to have, but the cost differential would be less than whatever the $18,000 is that is allocated for that large square foot building. But if you wanted to go for mixed fuel for a new building of some kind, presumably there would be an added cost. If you were going to build it all electric, it would be the same cost as under the stretch code. That's as much clarity as we can give to that answer at this time. It's a great question. We have asked several contacts at DOER to specifically respond to the ADU element of it, but haven't gotten a lot more clarity other than new construction would fall under special stretch code.
okay.
Yeah, Gary.
Yeah, so Becky, I have one question and then 3 comments. The first, and I've seen this presentation already once before. My understanding from what you told me the last time was if we go with mixed use or all non-electric, solar is then required. Is that correct?
There's like a minimum solar requirement to offset some emissions.
So if I put my house in the woods, because we don't have a lot of property available, I have to cut all those trees down to get solar to work. Is that correct?
Not necessarily. There are exceptions for shaded spots, depending on the site. There are some exceptions.
Okay. And mixed use means if I make the house electric, but I want to run a gas line for cooking, that's just cooking. That's mixed use now? Is that correct?
Yes.
Comments, number 1, in terms of the fire station, We did something similar with the groundwater, geothermal at the Twin School, and we had to install electric heating units to get, when it gets down to like 20 degrees below. But we still went electric. There's no fossil fuels at the school. But you can't just say it's going to be geothermal. You have to have that additional heating system. In terms of grants, and I've said this at the planning board meeting, this town has not had luck with grants. The fire station, we've done many grants and they've not come through. So we should not expect grants, no matter what they tell us. The other thing we learned was when we approved the stretch before, there was language in there that the state's allowed to make changes. And I'm told that the same thing with the specialized. The state could come in and make big changes even after we approve this. So we have to be very careful if we decide to go this way, that the state's going to make changes to what going forward, and it could impact us a lot.
Meaning there's no grandfather, like,
No,
no grandfather. It's changed and you gotta come,
that's my understanding as well.
okay.
So we got to be really careful if we decide to go that way. The state could turn around and just make other rules that.
Wait,
Doesn't
Gary,
impact.
I have a question to your question, if you don't mind. I
I'm
heard you.
okay, I'm
I
done.
heard, okay. I heard you just say the solar requirement, and I just, brought it back up on my laptop here. I'm curious if we can go back to the slide that talks about new construction for multifamily homes, and I'm curious if the solar installation and yearly maintenance costs are incorporated in both the initial install and ROI of that slide. So I see the solar installation, but there's yearly maintenance, plus if my roof isn't, there are many, many expenses
Yeah, you can either,
associated with also residential battery storage, plus all of the hoops you have to go through to get a residential battery storage device zoned for your house. So I'm curious if those costs, time, are represented somewhere in this presentation. It's okay if they're not, but maybe just a suggestion for the future.
Yeah, just to clarify, yeah, that's a great suggestion, definitely to take up with their study. It's a great comment to make to them, because I believe that these costs do not associate with any upgrades or maintenance of solar and electrification ready wiring. So that is definitely a great concern to bring up with them.
Thank you. I appreciate that. As someone who's very, very bullish on solar and have desperately tried to make it work for my house, the costs are not negligible. And I'm talking both installation and maintenance, and God forbid a tree falls on the top of your house. That is a whole thing that I think should be represented here in some way.
it's actually the one time that having the very low electric rates works against us, because I did it.
No, exactly.
When I moved in, I was looking at it and it was gonna take, 12, 15 years. And I was like, I might sell my house
The
before.
ROI just doesn't make
Yeah,
sense.
I might sell my house
Well,
before
I sold
then.
on my house, it cost me about 30,000 actually to put it in there,
Mm-hmm.
even with the grants back. It's paid for itself over 10 years actually,
Okay.
but it's a big upfront cost.
Do you have a battery on your house too, Tom?
No.
Yeah. Okay.
So I guess my last comment, and this is just to this, I feel like this needs to be vetted, and we need so much more information, and before this could ever get in front of the town, I just, for me, I just,
More due
you know,
diligence.
yeah, way more due diligence on this. I think it's important, and I'm all about, we've already talked in my house, as soon as my furnace goes, we're switching over to heat pumps, right? And we're getting there, and so we're starting to price that stuff out. When we put our pool in, we got a heat pump, we don't do a gas heater. We're doing everything we can. But I think we need to be careful about putting in place, we just tonight talked about different things that all of a sudden it's there's just expense and that expense.
Or that's an
I think
assumption
there
to
needs to be
calculate
way
this.
more conversation around this
Yeah.
with all the stakeholders.
Yeah.
So-
Okay, thanks Becky and Ian, it's very, very helpful, good starting point, I think.
Good first step, for sure.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you guys
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys. Have a great night.
Thanks so much.
You too.
So next up is any reserve fund transfers? No reserve fund transfers, right, tonight?
No.
Just got budget transfers, which will be next up. So how do you want to play this, Hongmore, budget transfers? You sent us out a list of budget transfers. I can share that on my screen, if that helps.
Someone give me a quick rundown on this. Is this like we're balancing our checkbook kind of thing?
This is budget transfers which we can make at the end, town can make at the end of the year,
Okay.
from budgets which have money left over into budgets which are
Okay.
overspending.
So that's where I have my questions. I want to understand, are we deficit spending, especially on some of this bigger stuff? Like, I assume that we've been paying the assessor's salary this whole time.
The interim, Jim?
Yep.
Yeah, we were paying.
In the amount of
Yeah.
$72,000.
Yes.
Have we been deficit spending the assessor's account to the tune of $72,000?
The consultant line, yes, the consultant
So,
line.
okay, but I don't have that budget in front of me, and Joe's not here to bring it up for me on QuickGov. But is the assessor's other budget, was there $72,000 in there to be able to overspend one of those lines? Because the consultant fee budget was not $72,000.
No, it-
So we overspent that.
Yes,
But was there enough money in the others, the whole budget left, so that we were not deficit spending treasurer, assessor, other line item? Does that make sense? Am I making sense in this question?
Yeah, what you're saying is if the consulting line is not in salary, it's in other, right?
Right.
For assessor.
Right.
Have we deficit spent the assessor other line?
Yeah.
so I remember initially when we informed the interim, we hired it, and we want to continue paying him, charging, because we had asked you if we should charge it to the salary line or the
Right.
consultant line.
Right.
And then we decided to do consultant, because he is consultant, he's not like an employee.
Right.
So we can't pay through payroll, so it's paid through AP, so we've been charging to the consulting line, and then wait until year end when we finally all pay up for him, and then we taking the salary, because we have that vacant position.
What was the total assessor budget line item?
Uh,
Assessor other. What was that total line item?
the
Yeah, like,
whole
was
thing.
it 0? Is that kind of what you're getting at, Maria?
I'm just, because that's illegal. We can't do that. So that's the question I have.
So,
I mean, the $200 ones, the $129 ones, I'm not worried about. I'm worried about these big chunky ones.
But Maria, help me understand this. It's going to the assessor other line.
Yes, but you're not allowed to deficit spend a budget line.
Right,
Total.
so Hung would be pulling from the salary line,
Yeah,
and she wouldn't be pulling a value that would go to less than 0. otherwise she won't.
I'm not talking about like, nice to do, don't deficit spend. Legally, we're not allowed to deficit spend. So really how that should have played out and how it's played out in the past is that we would have done, we've had 2 special town meetings, we've had a fall town meeting, and then we had a special town meeting for the fire station. This probably should have been an article to do that budget transfer then, because we can't deficit spend a budget line legally. We're not allowed to do that, because what would have happened if we spent the deficit spent on the budget consulting line, then we ended up hiring an assessor and spent that money, and then there wasn't enough money. You're not allowed to do
Oh,
that.
now we're missing 70K.
I'm just
and
saying that this
we
is
didn't
just, that's
vote
why
to
these,
raise and appropriate.
so what
Yeah,
I want, so
gotcha.
what was the total
I follow you.
assessor budget line other?
44,249.
Which means if you spent all of that money, right, plus an additional $72,000 in salary, we're not supposed to be doing that. And I don't know, I mean, I think legally we're not supposed to be doing that. Yep, Gary's telling me I'm right. So we got to be careful with that. Like, I get we're going to
Well-
make this budget transfer and the money's there.
So the year's
Right.
closed. The year's closed now, right? Yeah, we
Not yet.
know.
Not yet.
We're not
Closes.
closed, but we know what it was at the end of the year, end of the financial year.
Yeah.
So the question was that assessor consulting, or that assessor other line a negative number? When
Yes, right?
The consultant line is.
No, not the consulting line, the whole
the
total
assessor other,
other budget line. Did that end up going into the negative?
all the things in all the non-salary items in assessor.
Oh, no, all the other line are not.
Not
Well,
the
no,
total.
The total. If you add them all together, what's the total assessor other number? If we did not make this transfer, what would it be?
So we add these.
How about, are you online? Are you online? This is, I want you to see her screen.
Oh,
No, she's not
Okay.
online.
Okay.
She's not on the Zoom.
should I go online?
No, just, can you,
Just tell her, just
just
tell
if
her.
you can just
So-
kind of quick add those up.
Add those up.
These?
Yeah, but just don't do salary and just do software
The
on
software?
down.
Okay.
On down.
Maria, what you're asking is what was the approved assessor other at town meeting?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Line item.
And then what was the year end, like right now, what is, without this budget transfer, what is that,
What's left?
what's that number, that line item?
So I added all that.
My guess is some negative number, but what is the negative number?
It's $112,447.
Negative.
Yes, including software.
I'm sorry, it's negative 112,000 and change?
Yep, 112,447.
So even with the 72,000, it'll still be negative.
Yes,
How?
because the other is a software for 33,929.
Was that budgeted?
Yes, so it's zero. So it's
So-
budgeted for 33.
So when we make the $72,000 transfer, by the numbers you just gave us, you're still gonna be negative $40,000.
Can I share my screen so you guys can?
Yeah, you just gotta, are you signed on?
No. Or do you want me to email this to you guys?
Yeah, so you can log into Zoom.
Go get a Zoom and share it.
Can you move the mic closer to Hanwha too, please? Thank you.
And Michelle, while we're waiting, the state allows us to transfer funds the last 2 months of the year between departments and budgets.
Okay.
So as Maria said, we could have done this at a town meeting, could have done an RFT also.
And we could have, right,
Covered
the
that.
other option is if you don't have a town meeting available, you can do an RFT, knowing that that 72,000 would have come back into the reserve fund at the end of the year. And if we ended up short at the end of the year, we could have just done a budget transfer then.
Okay.
Well,
But we're just not allowed to deficit spend, that is not allowed by law, so I don't know, and I don't know what that means, like, right? Legally, I don't know,
What I don't know is whether when we say we can't deficit spend, it's as of July 15th,
right,
or...
is it at the end of the year?
Our policy's been never to deficit spend at all during the year.
That's the policy. And the only thing you can deficit spend, by the way, is snow and ice.
Right, I do
So
know
that
that,
is okay to
Hunghwa
do.
co-host.
but I'm just looking at,
Can you make Hunghwa co-host, please? Thank you.
So we'll,
I'm just looking at ClearGov, confusing myself, so.
yeah, and then we'll show these line items right here. So click
Okay,
right here.
you should be able to share now.
Click on the Zoom. Click share. And then show.
This one?
While we're waiting, how do those other ones work where we're going from other to salary? Like-
Because we vote those two separate lines, so
Uh-huh.
you
Were
have
we
to
just
still
like- but-
transfer it,
Yeah,
even though
but
it's a
Were we just a
total.
little off in the original
Well,
budget?
that's the other thing I want, like, all of these are like,
Yes,
just a
and
little bit
then-
off, but we budget pretty specifically. So
Yeah.
how do we end up just a little off on a lot of this stuff?
And that's what I mean, like, I remember
Yeah.
Joe reading those
No,
off
it's
like
not
to the
little.
penny.
But this is
So-
the first one I started with.
Okay, but we can get to that
We'll
after
talk about the
this
other
one, so,
stuff.
okay.
I mean, a lot towards the bottom is like
Yeah,
Mhm.
thousands.
Yeah.
okay. Oh, can you make that a little bigger?
Okay.
Oh, I can see it on my screen.
Okay,
I don't know about
so
other people. Let's see.
assessor, we're ending at
Oh,
$30,000.
Yeah.
No, is that right?
Yeah, so we're looking at
Wait,
this
what?
ending line.
Yeah,
So
31,000, right?
31,000.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
So we're not in deficit as of,
No, because the remaining, the bottom line is 31,612.
Oh.
But the other line,
Yeah.
if we could add, would be
Oh, that's salary,
the
yeah.
34,000 plus 5 is 39,000, plus 1 is 40,000, 40,000 for 43,500, 500. So we're at about $45,000 in the other
Yeah.
line. Okay, total budget-ish, based on this.
negative.
Well, we're not negative,
Oh, what?
but that's what we
Well, no,
budgeted.
Well, no, we're, budgeted, right?
Right? But we spent in that other line,
Like $100K.
so we've spent, let's see, 72,000 is a negative, and then we're adding back 35, 36. So about $69,000, rough numbers, right, off the top
Yeah.
of my head.
Yeah.
We negative spent that line
The other
by
line.
$69,000.
Yeah,
Now-
like the overall, the assessor budget is fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like overall, but the
Right.
salary
Yeah.
other is off. And
Right.
that's what you're saying we're not allowed to do.
We're not
We'd
allowed to
have
do that.
Got it.
So, are we allowed to do, our policy's always been, we don't negative spend during the year. Are we not allowed to do it at the year end? And, when we close out our books if we're negative spending? I don't know. I don't think this is good policy. This is not good procedure. We need to come up with a better way to do that. And I understand the constraint that you've got to pay the consultant, but we need to talk about a policy. I think we need to
Well,
add
we
that
should
to
have
our
done
policy.
it ahead of, as you say, ahead of time. right?
Yes.
Because I remember, I think like initially, when we know about this, like we asked if we should move some of that salary back to the consultant, then we can pay this person.
But we
then
can't do that without either
Yeah,
a town
right,
meeting vote
right.
or RFT.
Yeah,
Right, or within 45 days of year end.
Yeah.
That's what we need to be clearer about, I think.
So we
on
could
our
have done
policies.
this before the end of the year.
We could have done it in the fall at our town meeting.
Yeah, we
We
could
could have done it at the town meeting for the fire station.
Yeah.
Didn't we, we had one, those two town meetings, we could have done a warrant article
Yeah,
to do this.
yeah.
And it would have been a budget transfer warrant
Literally
article.
just to move it into the right
Yeah,
place.
and we would have taken the 72 and moved it. And that's what I think, we just need to come up with a policy better, because that's a huge chunk of cash that we shouldn't be, and yes, we're gonna cover it, and that's okay, but,
But I think, Maria, right, your concern is we could have hired someone. We've spent 72K.
yep,
Now we have a
yep,
588, and we start spending that, and now we are behind.
we could be behind. That's the
Yeah,
whole
I
point.
gotcha.
That's why you don't want a deficit
That's why you
spent
don't
in
do
any
it.
line,
Yeah.
because you don't
Got
want to
it.
get to that point
That makes sense.
where we're scrambling to make it work.
Yeah,
So-
we knew we were doing this the right way all along. You came and asked us. It was just, we didn't.
Well, we just need to be tighter
Do what we
in
need
our,
to do.
in our management of these lines, right? I mean,
Mhm.
that's the bottom line of this.
Yeah.
This is a very sloppy way of doing it, because we're doing it after the fact. It's not good to come after the end of the year and say, oh, whoops, we're upside down on these numbers.
I mean, I think with the exception of snow and ice,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, Board of Health had a good reason, they didn't, there wasn't the monitoring system, and there's all these good reasons for it, but we just really need to be super careful with the negative spending, and I didn't look at all of these, because I don't have the year-end numbers, right, so
Yeah.
I don't have this report as of today,
okay.
to find out if the rest of these numbers, where we were with the spending on them.
So when you stop sharing, Honghua, and we'll go back to the list again.
And are we allowed to cross-category? Like, I see these going
Yes, you
from
can
salary to
now,
other.
so we can now,
Okay,
as a budget transfer,
okay. So we can go either way, salary to other to salary.
right, as long as we vote on it within 45 days or as a town meeting vote.
Yeah, so it's
Okay.
from May to July
Yeah.
15th
Okay.
is when we can do it.
Yeah.
So how do we want to do this then? So we need to basically look at each of these and see if we're okay or not with these?
Yeah.
I
So,
mean,
and we have the explanation, so if we have questions, we can just,
Can I ask something? Do we
Yeah.
have a choice? Like, what happens if we're not okay?
Mm-hmm.
What happens?
well, it's already kind of a done deal. I think if we're not okay, we just need to do
Well,
better
that's-
for next
That's kinda
year.
what- This is more like a lessons learned retrospective than like a,
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think it's important to also understand why. Why are we,
Yeah, and like
why
write
do
it
we
down
have
for next
these?
year
Yeah.
and go to
You get
whoever
that.
and be like, what the heck?
And so, just as past history, and I think Gary can back me up on this, other than in the last 5 years, if we've had 3 budget transfers at the end of the year, right, Gary? Like up until, and then about 4 or 5 years ago, all of a sudden, we have lists like this at the end of the year. It makes it hard to budget. I mean, the 72,000 for the consultant, that's different. That's easy. We understand how that happened, right? But
Yeah.
it makes it hard because then the next year, the salary versus services and the collector line, what was that? Where'd it go? And, you know, so I think that's just something to keep in mind as we go through it. But I think we just go through it when we
Can I
ask the
just motion a counter to that, though? I mean, and I know we have to obey Massachusetts state law and all that, but the fact that we're, trading a few $100s back here and there, I think is totally normal,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you think about the complexity of all of the things that they're covering here, and we've got a few line items that I need to move $500 from one item to another. If we go back and tell them, you can never, ever do this, all we're going to end up with is a padded budget.
I don't think we're saying you can never do this, just understanding why we did this, because, for instance, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there's 6 transfers being done for one administrative assistant position. So what we have to look at is, are those being done, because we're covering that salary, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
That's my
was
question.
that salary under budgeted last year? And did we fix it this year? Or did something happen in this year in which that salary was higher than it should have been? And there may be a perfectly good explanation, and I think there is. Administrative assistant worked added hours on Fridays and when needed for elections. So, okay, but we know we have additional elections this year, so the question I would have is, do we know that we budgeted for the town for that administrative assistant properly for the additional elections this year? Because we have a November election, and we have a state primary. So we're gonna do this, but I think it just helps in understanding, are we budgeting properly? In my opinion, that's what we do. That's our job, is to make sure that we're budgeting properly, so we're not in this bind for salaries. That's something we can control. So, where do we go off the rails on that?
So what I would say is anything here which is less than $500, we should be fine with.
Yeah, I think that's, my concern is not like the hundreds.
Yeah, don't need discussing.
I'm looking at like the
More
big ticket
wide.
items.
Yeah.
Okay,
So the ones
so-
which are worth talking about are the town clerk administrative assistant, which you just talked about.
Yeah, so there's 2 transfers on that one,
Right.
but it goes to salary, and the explanation is the same on the salaries. It's
Right.
additional hours on Fridays and when needed elections.
So the question was, did we budget correctly for this coming year?
Right. So I would say the Fridays thing is off the table because we're no longer open on Fridays, right? That was open. There's gonna be some conversation about, the select board's having conversations about additional hours. They need to figure out those hours, right? How are we paying these people these extra hours? That needs to be part of the select board conversation when they talk about that. And the elections, we know we have additional elections this year, so, I don't remember when that got budgeted, if the town clerk took that into account, but hopefully she did.
Right, so
But
we're okay with the transfer, it sounds like. We just have an open question for the future about, is it correctly budgeted? I don't know how we get that answered.
Well, I just, we asked the accountant to double check and make sure
Yeah, yeah.
that you talk to the town clerk and make sure. And if not, then there needs to be, people need to figure out their budgets. That's the whole point of, we budget really closely, but we know elections aren't out of nowhere. We know we have 3 elections this year, and I'm not
So,
picking on the town clerk.
is that-
I'm sure she's perfectly capable and did the
Is
spot
that an
budget.
action for Rajon and
I think so.
Hongwa to go back and
Yeah.
next time come back and tell us that they've reviewed the budget as it stands for the town clerk administrative assistant, and we are going to be okay this year? We've got the right numbers in there. And then the other one in here is the treasurer collector switching money from salary to services. So
And
what's
that's-
the explanation for that one? You got a piece of paper there?
That's for consulting services, so it's the same thing. Was that when we didn't have a treasurer? Did we have a consultant fill in for the treasurer before we brought Emily in? There was a
Yes.
period of time, right?
Yeah, so that's the consultant, that's Julie.
Right.
That's the like the auditor
Yeah.
person.
Oh, so that's for auditing. That's different.
The consultant for the treasurer's collector's office, for both of our office, yeah, the
Okay.
cash book stuff,
Okay,
yeah.
so,
Yeah, okay, so that's fair enough, right?
yeah.
Okay, what else we got here? We got landfill monitoring was
And I think we have Ed on the call too, if you got any questions.
okay. Ed, would you like to comment on landfill monitoring?
Where am I seeing that?
Ed, you're muted.
Can we unmute him?
Ed, do you want me to jump in front of this one? This is a Board of Health item, not.
Yeah, it was, yeah, because
Got it.
definitely, thank you.
Yep, happy to do so, Ed. Tony, happy to speak to this one. Alec here on behalf of the Board of Health and the Office of Land Use and Permitting. The Finance Committee may remember I made reference to this actually back at annual town meeting. At the end of last summer, we received guidance from Mass DEP that they would no longer be accepting our standard format for monitoring and reporting on the landfill. They advised us that they would need additional testing and additional submission, and that would be needed going forward as well. And so that was noted as a reason for an increase in my budget, or in this budget specifically, going into next year. That still left us with our current year's item. We did sign a contract with, bear with me, I just want to make sure I get the quote correct, Ty and Bond. They performed the monitoring. They also had to sub out a one-time cost of a survey exercise. And while we did expect we would have room and flexibility in our expense lines to be able to do a simple line-to-line transfer to cover the additional cost, as you can see, particularly that survey did put us over the threshold. So we did unfortunately have to come forward to you tonight to request this, this one-time transfer. I don't anticipate needing this in future years, as the budgeted cost would cover the new contractual services to conduct monitoring in future years.
Okay, great. That makes sense. Any questions?
No, not on that.
Okay, so and the health insurance was less than we thought because the number of days were different. Is that right? Is that correct?
I don't know. Why was the health insurance less?
That's what I
So-
read somewhere.
The health insurance was, we had more people opt out of taking health insurance from the
Oh, okay.
town and taking the
And
stipend.
so this year's the health insurance budget line was decreased by the number of people who opted out last year, but then increased. That increase is net of that.
Yeah, so we reduced the budget too as a part of the reduction
Okay.
For this upcoming, for the cost savings for this upcoming fiscal year.
Okay.
I think.
But a big part of why we had extra in the health insurance is because we've had people opt out and take the stipend instead of taking the health insurance.
I just had a question. The veterans contract service was not submitted before the fiscal year 26 budget was finalized. Is that like just a timing thing? Was that a miss?
So that was for the IMA, so we renegotiate our shared VSO with Acton, so during this fiscal year, we were negotiating negotiating the new contract for that, so
Yeah.
we ran over our budget a little bit, and that is reflected in why we needed the budget transfer to.
Got it, okay.
But for this upcoming year, it's budgeted properly.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
I actually have a question on this, Public Works, $8,000 to rebuild, the generator?
Well, that was part of it. I was, unfortunately, I apologize for not getting enough information to you for this account. I was using all my vacation time at the end of June to try to use it up. But that was one of the issues. We had approximately $9,500 of unexpected work at the police department that we could not foresee, and a couple of them were definitely the generators. That only came up to about $3,000 or $4,000, but we had two times when a locksmith had to be called in to repair door locks that weren't working, or the push buttons that weren't working. we had the on-demand water heater valves that stopped working correctly, and that was another $2,400. We had the kiosk now that they have, we had to have electricity and a data line run to that, which wasn't, budgeted, because at that time last year we didn't know that this was going to happen. We had I'm sorry, go ahead.
I mean, those all sound like unexpected events, so I'm just wondering why you didn't come forward for a reserve fund transfer?
We didn't have to, because there was enough money in our total line item to cover those for building and maintenance in that same funding source. It's like this isn't just its own line item. It's under buildings and grounds, so
right.
Our other departments were covering some of that cost until the end of this year, when we got to a point where we needed to transfer money over.
So wouldn't this?
So the other line item so the building and grounds is not broken up, police department, fire department, it's just one line item, correct?
Well, they are, but it's in that 192 that it's under. So
it's one budget.
So we can, but we don't have to, and I could be wrong with this, but as long as it's within that 192, we can kind of like borrow from the other departments, as long as that bottom line does not go over, like the total budget of 192. So we don't come back for reserve fund transfer to do it, because those other line items are covering it, and most of the time covering it until the end of the year. But this time, with all the expenses that the police department had over and above, was something that 192 budget could handle.
So the 192 never was over budget, it was just that we're now just transferring in to make up, it was, right?
Yeah, it wasn't over budget till towards the end of this fiscal year, correct?
My brain's like short circuiting, sorry, my first time doing this. So if it wasn't over budget, then we wouldn't need to do this. So at some point, it became over budget.
As you said, at the end of the year.
So because it's the end of the year, we do a budget transfer instead of a reserve fund
So
transfer?
here's my thing. That's what we're gonna do this year because it's already spent.
Okay.
Frankly, I think that if you have a generator that needs to be rebuilt, that is a reserve fund transfer.
I mean, that's a substantial cost.
Unless, particularly if, but I don't know. I don't have these budgets in front of me because of ClearGov. So the way this is, I don't have a budget in front of me to look at.
Yeah.
What's budgeted, what's not budgeted, what it looks like.
So I think what we should do is
We need to do better
on the list. I think we should add a review of the budget transfer.
Like, what are the rules of the
Policy.
road here?
Okay.
Yeah.
And have Mike and Rajon and Honghua discuss that with us so we can have a policy in place. Because I don't think our financial policies really clearly lay that
Yeah.
out at the moment.
Because if it's an expense over $5,000, in my head, if an expense over $5,000 would significantly disadvantage another budget category, thus
Yeah.
increasing the likelihood of doing a budget transfer. So we should just do a reserve fund transfer for an unpredictable event
we should,
that's
we should better
substantial.
see this stuff coming. We shouldn't get to the end of the year and say, oh, oops, that one's over.
Yeah. We should get like a little
we're now
flag
gonna,
or
we're now
something.
going to true up from which ones are
Right.
under. We should be seeing them coming and having that conversation in June, I think.
Yeah.
Not in mid-July.
I'm just like, because why
Actually,
would we
can I
even do
just
reserve
interject
fund
for a second?
transfers?
So John, Connor, do you have a comment?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so per Maria, I mean, we're not allowed to deficit spend at even the sub-account level, correct?
We're
I mean,
not.
I believe that's,
No, we're not allowed to deficit spend like the total salary. We can do the sub-accounts.
no, I mean, again, quick Google search.
Yeah.
I'm finding the exact opposite. I'm finding you can't knowingly deficit spend at any account level.
Really? Within,
Yeah.
okay, well, there you go then.
So,
Then we have
so
it
I
here,
think
right?
to wrap it up, I mean, I think we need to know what those rules are.
Yeah.
And, and whatever they are, whatever level we can't do it at, whatever that minimum level is, as soon as we hit that level, we need to have a meeting with the group that's, run into that barrier. We cannot let them all pile up until July.
No, we can't do a retrospective readjustment. We have to do it in advance of
Yeah.
rather like a reserve fund transfer. You don't want to spend the money and then do a reserve fund transfer after the fact. We should do reserve fund transfer when we can see it is, the
Like,
invoice.
we're not budgeted for it.
Yeah, there's an invoice there. We can't pay it until we do the reserve fund transfer. We can't just, go into the red on things.
Okay.
So we need a conversation with the town, I think, to understand what those ground rules are.
Right, because the problem is, we're the ones that need to approve this at the end. So we're going to approve it because we have to pay
We
these.
have no choice, right? We have no choice, but it's
we're
not.
being put in the position where we have no choice.
Exactly.
And there's enough mechanisms in place to cover items. For instance, the rebuilding of the generator. We
Right.
have money put aside for big, unexpected.
That's like the point.
Yeah, that is the whole point of that. So I think that's really important to follow up on for next year.
Okay. All right, sorry, I'm just like
No.
trying to,
And then there was
Figure that
one
out.
for the fire station. That came in late. Do you have that new one up?
I don't know, but there's another one here though, which is the Hager Well
Oh, there you go.
electricity and Public Works the street main supply.
No, but that's the snow and ice.
No,
Snow and ice, Public Works.
Public Works
street main supply
street
to
main supply, what's
Hager
that?
Well.
What is street main supply?
Is
It's
that
a couple
for-
lines
yeah,
up.
That's what we buy our salt
Yeah.
and everything
Oh,
we
okay.
need.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
okay.
salt, okay, so we bought less salt than we needed.
No, we bought a lot more salt than we needed.
Right. So we overspent snow and ice, and we're taking it from tonnage, from tipping fees,
Yes.
and adding it to snow and ice. And that's the only one I don't question, because that's perfectly legitimate.
But
No,
what
no,
are the
what's-
two
no,
above
what's- no,
it?
Wait, sorry.
422, I'm going up to this 422.
Yeah.
The 1759-57, that says Public Works Street Main Supply. It doesn't say snow and ice.
Because
No,
that's a different budget.
Yeah, that's we took it from our street maintenance supply to pay the overage in electricity because this year we put in the new chlorine system and the contractors were up there constantly doing that work, and we used unfortunately a significant, not significant, but a great deal more of electricity while we're up there and heat because they were always, doing something up there for months at a time. It took quite a while to do it, so that was one of the reasons that the electricity was over. And the other one would be the maintenance of the Hager Well. It was a small one. It was 2128. If you see it there, and this was another one where on one of the startups, or when they're attempting to do startups, the Weston and Sampson has to be there because they're in charge of the well, and they have to have their licensed people up there to make sure that the contractor's doing everything according to the EP. And
Right.
there was a bill for that, and that's over and above their monitoring contract for that. So the chlorine system was the driving force for having these two amounts go over during this fiscal year.
So what is 422 Public Works Street Main Supply? That's not.
That's stuff we buy for the roads during the, if we have to buy patch or anything of that nature to maintain the roads.
Okay,
That's
so
different.
that's not salt. That's actually road repair.
Right,
machine.
you'll see the street maintenance supply at, the one you were talking about, Tony, was 423.54.
Yeah.
And that's the number for our salt, and if we have to buy patch during the winter,
Right.
we take it from there too.
Okay. So we had less need of repairing roads. We have more need of Hager Well issues. Okay.
Correct, yeah. We're actually getting better with our roads. We're finding, there they're getting closer to being in pretty good shape now, where we don't have to continue to go out and patch, which does cost, you know, a great deal of money
Okay.
for the asphalt.
Gary, you had a question?
Wait, can I just,
Go ahead.
hold on, can I just, and we get reimbursed from the school for the Hager Well stuff, correct? So ultimately, there is some percentage of this money that's gone into the general fund from the school. I knew that's what Gary was
Yes,
gonna ask.
Yes, Maria, you are correct. It runs anywhere from 60 to 64% that they pay us back. We do it quarterly, so at the end, we'll be doing it at the end of this, it's the end of this fiscal year, but we have until, July 15th to get all our numbers, to get it and send it to them. So they do pay for, they pay for the chlorine system, they pay for, having Weston and Sampson up there, and they do pay, that percentage for the electricity as well.
Okay, great, thank you. And then the tipping money was less because we had less tonnage than we expected for the year.
Yeah, in a sense. I mean, we have been level funded there, but we have probably been a little generous the past few years with that. But we are seeing a little bit of a decrease in what is being thrown away in our trash.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just want to point out to John, when you do your sustainability discussion with us later, this is what I keep hearing, and this year the same thing, so our trash is actually going down. So, okay, because all I hear about is how expensive it is to run a transfer station. But in fact, for the last couple of years.
Yes, we've all heard that. I mean, I got to plug my computer in for a while.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so.
Are there any others we have concerns
Oh, we
about?
have no.
The rest of this makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Or it's like $40.
Are there any more questions?
What is this?
Do we need to sign off?
This
on
300,
anything here?
the bottom one here?
Yeah.
Is that the one that, I thought it was for the fire station, was I wrong? I must be wrong. Okay.
No, that's the new one that came on, right?
Okay.
Late. Yeah.
So again, that's a salary thing. So I guess I don't want to belabor this right now
We gotta
because
fix
it's
it.
late, but like, I'd like to understand why these salaries are not right. Right, because we budget, is it that we budgeted one day short on the salaries? Why are these salaries off? So I definitely would like that conversation,
Yeah.
that answer.
Yeah.
But,
Okay.
add to the list.
So do we need to vote on this, or do we just?
We do, no, we have to vote on this.
Okay.
So I
Okay,
think we can do a motion on, do we know what time that second document was sent? Or the document that you presented, because my document's
The
wrong.
one that came in today, late this afternoon.
Yeah.
When did it come in?
We can just timestamp it and do the full
Yeah.
thing.
It came in
I
at
think
3:36 p.m.
That's the document you're showing, right?
Yeah.
So I move to approve the budget transfers as presented in the document, timestamps 3:36 PM on July 7th, 2026, sent to the FinCom.
Second.
Okay, we'll do a roll call vote on that. John C.
Connor, aye.
Grevin, aye.
Ryan, I.
Neil and I.
Newton, aye.
Okay.
And we will have another discussion about the policy
Yeah, that's on my list.
on the list.
Yep.
The list is getting longer.
So,
It certainly is.
so I guess a follow-up question to this is, for the future, if we notice that a budget is running low, it's best practice going forward be to notify the FinCom that, they have a potential reserve fund transfer coming up instead of doing end of the year transfers. That's just why I want to make sure as far as guidance
I
going forward.
think what we need to have is probably a discussion before the end of the year. So, I mean, maybe even before town meeting, because if we could put on town meeting a motion, sort of like a standing motion to I don't think we can do that, it's sort of approved.
So if we knew, like the $72,000, right, we
Yeah.
could have done something in town meeting
We
that
knew
was
that.
just a warrant article.
We knew that stuff,
And we
right?
know why, and it's easy to explain.
Yeah.
Right? So we could do it probably would have ended up on the consent agenda.
Yeah.
So that avoids a lot of this, and it's clearer, because once you voted at town meeting, I just think this is hard to keep record of. So I've tried to keep a hard copy in my file for the last 5 years, so that when we budget, I can go back and look. But like, it's hard to keep track of some of this stuff. 72,000, I'm not gonna keep track of, because we're not gonna change that. But it's the salaries that might be different, and so, you know.
Yeah, and all this, all this smaller stuff, we ought to at least have a conversation about it before the end of the year. If we know we're gonna be adrift, a month out of the end of the year, we ought to have a conversation then, I think, and say, what do we need to adjust here to do that? Before we hit the red on a line, because it sounds like from what John's Google search tells us that we can't even be overspent on any line.
Yeah, I'd actually like a better understanding of that.
Yeah.
From, maybe even an attorney that says we should or should not be overspending on any of these lines, because
Yeah.
I thought it was within the categories.
Yeah,
Right?
I mean, we should
Can
be.
can I add something to this?
Yeah,
So, say my police budget, say it went over in, let's say January. And I had to ask for reserve fund transfer to cover the next bill or whatever that came up. Am I gonna have to ask for reserve fund transfer every time now from January into, June to cover that budget, the rest of that year, because we know there are going to be other things coming up for the police department. I'm just using them as an example.
well, you got 2 months, right? So it's 2 months before the end of the year when we do.
Yeah, 2 months. But I mean, I think the thing is, you mentioned 3 big things that pushed the budget over for the police grounds, right?
Yes, correct.
Right, 3 big things. Those 3 things should have been covered by a reserve fund. It's not covering regular maintenance by the reserve fund, it's the unexpected expenses. For instance, the generators, that
Okay,
wasn't
right,
expected, you
yep.
can't budget that, and that's
Yep.
what the reserve fund is for. So you wouldn't need to ask to go and, mow the lawns, because that should be budgeted. I'm just using that
Right.
as an example.
Yeah, no, I
Right?
understand.
So it's when something blows up or dies or needs to be replaced unexpectedly.
Yeah.
That would be when you would need to come. So if that happened in January, we would cover that $2,400 for, let's say, the generator in January, and then your $2,400 for maintenance would still be there for you to spend for regular maintenance.
Okay, so, I'm looking at the big ticket items I had that were $9,500 of unexpected work. So, as that policy is looked at, so anytime it's something that I can't predict or any department can't predict, we should be coming to you to talk about whether we should be getting reserve fund transfer, which I think is probably the right thing to do.
Yeah, because then you're covered, and then you don't need to worry about regular maintenance, because we've
Yeah.
budgeted for that. This is unexpected.
Right.
So I think
Okay.
that's the other thing. Is
Yeah,
to
the other
make
thing
that
is,
clear.
really May the 1st, we should have a look forward then to what's the end of the year looking like, and all the other small stuff. Because if we need to start thinking about moving money around, we can do it then, I think, rather than wait until after the fact.
Yeah.
And being out of whack.
Right, and if they're coming to us with reserve fund transfers throughout the year for bigger, major issues,
Then you should-
then you end
yeah.
up with these little things, but it's a lot easier to manage that, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
I agree, yep, 100%.
Gary?
Yeah, I'll say that, I won't call it a policy, but the guidelines that the FinCom in the past has used is they prefer not to use interdepartmental transfers. It's better to use the RFTs because it's a better way for the Finance Committee to track what's
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We vote it each time individually. When it's not doing these multiple passes, it's hard to track next year, 2 years from now, where
Yeah.
things went.
Yeah.
And I absolutely agree that generator was a perfect instance of an RFT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We already talked about the salary for the consultant. Those things they're unexpected. So,
Yeah.
but
yeah.
tracking it is better, I think, from a finance committee, because the minutes record all our RFTs. We have paperwork that tracks them. So,
Yeah.
just as something to think about as you're planning your next year's reviews.
Yeah. Great, thanks, Gary. Okay, that ends the budget transfer
All right.
lesson for today.
And I just want you to know, this list is getting bigger and bigger of things we're addressing.
Yeah, and we need to address that one sooner rather than later.
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Okay. Honghua, Rajon, I think we're finished with financial things.
What was that?
Do we need Ed?
Before, okay.
One thing we didn't address actually in RFTs is the.
Can we let Ed go?
Sorry, John?
Oh, yeah,
Can we let
Ed,
Ed
unless
go?
you want to stay with us.
Yeah, yeah.
Because this is so
Yeah.
interesting.
Ed, you're released. If you wish to be
Wait,
released.
he's trying to talk.
Yeah, I know, I'm really riveted, but I'd like to go get some sleep because I get up early.
All right.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thanks, guys.
having me come. Have a good night.
Thanks. Okay.
Did we ever agree the RFT transfer form?
No, but I think we have to, so it's on our list, RFT, reserve fund policy/form. So I think
Yeah.
we just do it all at the same time.
Okay.
I think that makes the most, doesn't
I
it?
think we might make changes to the form based on our policy conversation.
Yeah, exactly. So just let's do it once and be done with it.
Okay, good. So next thing is organisation. Election of chair and vice chair.
Okay, so now, you shouldn't, you need to ask for nominations for,
Are there any nominations for the
Chair.
chair?
I nominate Tony.
Does that need a second?
Yes.
Oh, second.
Okay.
is there any other nominations
Yeah.
for chair?
Any other nominations?
No, everyone's not, you notice how everyone looks away? We're all looking in the other direction.
Willing yourself invisible.
Okay, so should we vote on that then?
We should take a vote.
Yeah. Okay, roll call vote. Connor?
I'll nominate Maria too.
No. Nick, we're taking a vote. We're on to vote. You gotta say yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, is it time to let?
Taking a vote on Newton for chair.
Yep.
Connor, aye.
Grevin, aye.
Ryan, I.
Neil and I.
Newton abstain.
That's fair.
Shocking upset.
Okay, and I nominate John Connor for vice chair. Are there any other nominations?
Nope.
Is there a second?
Is there a second?
Oh,
Second.
thank you,
Okay.
Michelle.
Sorry, Michelle?
That was me, yeah.
That was
Yeah.
You
Michelle.
don't recognize my voice?
Are you okay, John, with being vice chair?
I think I'm working my way into the role, Tony. I'll get the hang of it eventually.
Are you eating chocolate chip cookies?
I was just thinking that I really want one.
Okay. All
I
in
know, I'm
favour
so
of
sad.
John Connor as vice chair? John Connor,
He turned his camera off.
please camera off.
You still have to vote.
You have to vote,
I
John.
can't vote for myself.
Then you have to abstain.
Okay, abstain, sorry.
Grevin, aye.
Ryan, I.
Neil and I.
And Newton, aye. Good.
Okay.
Okay. Liaison assignments.
Clerk also.
Sorry?
Clerk.
Oh, really?
What's the clerk gonna do? Because aren't you,
Nothing.
are,
Well, I
okay.
thought John was the clerk actually officially, right?
I was officially, yeah. Don't you have to revote it then?
No, because I think, didn't FinCom used to be chair and clerk? And we changed it to chair and vice chair?
And clerk.
Oh, so,
So if you're vice chair, you're clerk?
yeah,
So we need to nominate John for clerk?
I
No, it
think
says vice chair and, do we have to do that separately?
we shouldn't have had to, I think.
You can change the
So,
vote to be John, vice chair and clerk.
yeah, so is everyone
Okay.
happy with that? Like,
Aye.
do we literally have to revote it?
I'll fix the minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We all agree with that?
I.
It should be vice chair / clerk?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm aligned
What
with
does,
that, yes.
what does clerk mean even?
So really technically, the clerk is in charge of the minutes, so even though we've have somebody who types the minutes, technically, there's other committees in which the clerk signs the minutes, reviews them, and
Yeah,
gets
it's
them
like, it's
posted.
that way for water resources. Yeah.
So,
Fire does.
we don't make John do that because, really Gary's very good at the minutes, so.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's what the other.
The planning board the same way, there's a clerk on the planning board, but somebody
Right.
does the minutes.
Right.
Okay, let's do liaison assignments. So, there's a blank column here.
So let's just keep in mind that Joe's not here. You
Yeah,
snooze,
so-
you lose, so
We can just
whatever
do
we
it
want to
whenever.
plug him into.
Right.
Okay.
Dibs on CPC. I really like CPC. I want to stay there.
You want to stay on CPC?
I really want to stay on CPC. Feel passionately about that.
Is that a voting one?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Are you gonna fight me for it?
Wait,
Nope.
what, John?
John?
No.
Were you gonna say something?
I'd like to stay on the capital committee.
Well, the question is, if we
Uh-oh.
look at the current list, does anything need to change, I suppose? That's one way of thinking about it.
I'm
Is that
I don't.
not feeling the school committee.
you're not doing it?
Not
I
feeling
didn't
it.
say that. I just,
When do they meet?
Thursdays.
Yeah.
Thursdays.
Thursdays.
And it's the same Thursday, so it's the second and third Thursday?
So I have a question about that one with Hillary's recent election to
Seems
that.
easy.
Is that something I should or should not take because of that? Or is there anything around that that would prevent me?
You're not voting,
Probably
so.
not.
Yeah, 'cause I'm not a voting
You're
member.
a liaison, yeah.
I'm just liaison, right?
So
Yeah.
from experience, sometimes dinner gets to be uncomfortable when you're the FinCom rep and they say something and you're like, seriously? We don't have that kind
Yeah.
of money. And then there's a whole dinner conversation around it. That's just my
Yeah.
personal experience. So,
That's kind of where I was going
but
with
there's
that.
no guidlines as to why you shouldn't do it. It's just that
Okay.
maybe you don't talk about it
Yeah.
over dinner.
yeah, you guys can handle it. You've had the RecCom situation already.
Yeah.
In terms
Yeah.
of operational efficiency, I think that's gonna be to the team's benefit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with it. It's, yeah.
So let's talk, all right, so I'm gonna stay on the Fire Station Building Committee. And
I'm staying on the capital committee.
And Gary, you're not a FinCom member, but your name's there.
are you good with that?
Yeah.
Are you good? Is everyone on this
As long as
committee
you're
good with
okay
that?
I'm fine with it.
Okay.
Leadership forum?
But
That's the BLF, that's all of
That's all of
us.
us really anyway, yeah.
BLF is actually not technically voting. The only thing we vote is minutes.
Yeah.
Technically, we are an non-voting committee,
Should I
but it is,
just take the line out altogether? Or-
no, leave it in, just take the voting part out, but leave it up on the
I see
priority.
what you mean, yeah. Yeah.
Affordable housing, is Joe gonna stay on that?
Well, let's put him in
Yep.
anyway.
Because that's a voting position for the trust, and
Yeah.
he's been doing that. Okay. So, what about the major groups? Does everyone want to keep? Does anyone want to change? DPW, fire, and police would be in town. Well, town is you and John. It should be.
Yeah,
Still.
that's got to be said the same, right?
Yeah. But what about the other ones?
I can do personnel board still. I mean, that's.
Okay.
I'm fine with police.
Okay, I'm fine with fire because I
Yeah, you're already
do a lot,
integrated.
but if you guys want to, like, take one of the major group categories, I'd be happy to have you shadow for a year or just, but I mean, I have a lot to do with fire department anyway because of the fire station building
Let me
committee.
see. I'm just checking like when things meet. It's not linked.
So these committees don't meet. Well, planning board does. I'll keep that one
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
because I like to torture myself.
Then how does this work?
Yeah,
I'm not
that's
taking all
perfect.
of them, dude.
Damn.
Oh,
Control Z. There you go.
So-
good Lord. Okay,
And how
so
does this work? for,
how does
like,
what work?
These don't meet per se.
They don't meet. So like, for instance, when the chief had his reserve fund transfers, the fire chief, right? He'd call me up and say, I have a reserve fund transfer, and kind of go over it, his budget, all kind of his warrant articles you just want to understand as they start to come up. They talk to us, so it's the same thing with DPW and police. I probably communicate with the fire chief more because I also am in meetings with him twice a month. So I communicate with him
Makes
more on
sense.
all of his stuff versus if we weren't in those meetings, you know, it's sort of reaching out to the department head and saying, okay, I'm your liaison, and at budget time, we should sit down and
Yeah,
if
like
anything comes up.
discuss.
Are we gonna leave Joe as DPW or?
Well, I think we'll leave him, I think the default will leave him there, right, unless he
Yeah.
comes back and says, I
Mhm.
can't do it.
Right.
Planning board, you okay with?
I am okay with.
Yeah.
Thank you, Maria.
So school committee, John, you said, what did you say
Yep.
about that?
That'll just be me from now on.
Just you?
Yeah.
God bless you.
Yeah.
It'll be
Okay.
easy this year.
Oh, yeah. Piece of cake, right?
I'll do select board, which I, you know, often don't go to, but,
I'll do technology again.
technology, good.
Yeah, I'll stay on EDC.
EDC, Michelle? Housing board? You okay, Maria?
I'm sorry, yes, I'm okay. I thought Joe was, I haven't gone to their meetings because they meet on Tuesdays. I thought
Yeah.
Joe was the person for that, but yes, I will start doing
Oh,
it.
really?
It's fine, yeah. Because it makes sense, because he's the housing trust and it's somewhat related, but I'm fine with it.
Well, I can put his name in there, I can talk to him about it later.
Just put slash and we can, you know, talk about it. Because I feel like the housing board has got, I've been reading their minutes, watching meetings if but they've got a lot going on with affordable housing, what they're gonna do with 72 Stowe Road. So there's a lot of information to, you know, talk about.
Yeah.
Hey, John.
Yeah?
How do you feel about me just kind of like shadowing you for the police department? Just like tag along, ride along, as they say.
Right along.
Sure. I mean, we don't have that many meetings at all, so just as a heads up.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm just like very curious how that kind of situation works.
Retcom, John, you still okay to do that?
Yeah, that's fine.
And water resources?
Yeah. I mean, that conflicts with us all the time, but that one's not too much of a heavy lift.
We'll assume Joe will do.
Can you add me as a slash, Tony, for police?
Oh, yes, yeah. So maybe.
Michelle, can I do a slash on the EDC?
You're always welcome.
Oh, on the EDC, oh, good.
Those are good meetings. Abby runs a great meeting.
Okay. And then all the smaller ones.
I'm fine with mine.
Hold on,
Hang on,
zoning board of appeals, yeah, I'm fine with mine too.
Wait, I
Michelle?
want Steel Farm.
You want Steel Farm?
Yeah,
Who has
I
it
feel
now?
very passionately about this one too. I think
Swiping that one from Joe.
it's Joe.
Yeah, take it from Joe.
Okay, you got it? Okay, otherwise, everything's the same?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Nice.
Okay, anyone want to grab any of these completely non-important, not important, but less critical ones?
Not particularly. Well, Historical Society, do you do that?
That's the Historical Commission.
Yeah, but do you do the society?
I do.
Do you want to do the commission as well?
I mean, yeah, I talk to
Alan?
Alan
Yeah.
all the time. And
Historical
John,
Commission?
John CPC, like it's very integrated.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, you can just throw me on Historical Commission, because Alan comes to most of our society meetings.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine.
Nice.
That was
good.
easy. Can we post that on our page in case one of the boards wants to know who they should talk to?
That's a good idea, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not a secret.
No,
maybe a cleaner version, maybe.
yeah, but I mean, just if we
Yeah.
had that list.
Like, not having the priorities, it may feel bad if they're not.
Yeah, no.
They're not
no
the highest
priority.
priority. Yeah, good
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, good, because then I can just point to the website instead of having to bring up my list every time I get asked
Yeah.
that question at the dinner table.
Yeah. Okay, and the other thing is, I messed up, I think, on the calendar, because I've got us down for a meeting next week.
No,
Okay.
we didn't
had
mess it
that in
up.
case
We did mess
needed
it
We
up.
have it just in
In
case.
Yeah, because the close on the 15th.
Ah, that's right, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And we could do a Zoom meeting if it just is another bunch of transfers, and we should have asked Hung if we thought we were gonna need that.
Okay, let me ask her tomorrow then.
So,
I won't be there, I'll be in China.
Okay,
well, it would be an emergency meeting,
be an emergency meeting.
like, I mean, yeah,
Would it
we should
be-
just,
it'd just be a Zoom meeting, right?
yeah, so we've done that before. But I mean,
Yeah.
if you don't have it, so the thing that happened one year is that literally we got a phone call, I was the chair, I think, at noon, that the accountant needed us to meet, it's not our current accountant. By 5 o'clock that day, otherwise we were gonna be in a deficit spending situation because we needed to do something. And then you don't have time to post. We had to post an emergency meeting and it was chaos trying to get
remember that,
enough
yeah.
people, right?
Yeah,
So
this was
if
just
you
our
have it
planned
out there,
emergency meeting.
and then we can just cancel it if we have to.
That makes
Well,
sense.
I'm gonna need to post the agenda for that by Thursday.
Yeah, so I guess
Just
I
like
would,
check in with
you
Yeah.
know, I would do a Zoom meeting and it should be, possible vote, year-end
So
transfers.
post an agenda anyway, in case.
I would talk to Hung and see,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
If she says, no, we're all set after tonight, great. But it's a lot easier than trying to pull together an emergency
Yeah,
meeting.
maybe she just post the agenda and then
Yep.
cancel it if we have to
Yep.
cancel it.
And I would do Zoom, because we don't need to meet in person for one
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Mhm.
okay. So what's left? That may be it. Oh, wait,
Committee
oh,
reports?
Committee reports, yeah.
Okay.
Committee reports, John Connor, you're first.
I've been out of the loop on what's going on in the regional school system. There's been no communication online or on site. There was no TV update on what the last meeting was. Does anybody else have some inside contact? I do not have.
The last meeting, the very last meeting was on contracts. They were able to sign a contract. And I spent a little part of today reviewing the contract.
How did you get a hold of it?
It finally just got posted. I was gonna send an email, and ask for a link or a copy of it, because it hadn't been posted, but it just got posted. Problem is, it's a 100-page contract almost, and it's not redlined. So I have no idea, other than the finances that pop out to me, I have no idea what else changed in there, because
So one quick question, they met,
the 25th?
Or, yeah.
Yeah,
so
the 25th, there was a daytime
they were
meeting.
to vote again on that. Was this the result of that vote?
Yes.
Or did they have another vote?
Nope,
So
that was,
this result
that
of
was
that.
the result, yeah. So initially, at our last meeting, they had talked about not being able to come to an agreement before the summer, and they were gonna take the summer off. Somehow they ended up in agreement. And so the contract, just the financials, right? The easy peasy stuff. I don't know anything else, because I can't figure it out. But over the 3 years, it's a 6.25% increase. 2
Each year or total?
Nope, total.
Okay.
This year, 2.75, this upcoming year. The year after, 1.75, the year after that, 1.75. Actually, that's a pretty good deal. Like, I was pretty impressed with those numbers. That said, in July of this year, and I can't find this in the contract, but I did have a school committee member confirm it for me today. The teachers union posted these numbers on Facebook. In July, this July, they made a $1,000 payment to everybody, all the teachers on the contract. But it is strictly a bonus, it's not added to the base, so it doesn't affect ongoing COLAs. Now, that's what was told to me. I can't find this in the contract, but again, it's really hard to find anything in this contract because it's 100 pages. I went to the salary scale and was able to confirm the other 3 things. I was hoping that someone from from school committee would be here. So I know that there was a lot of questions about class sizes because of the change and all of that. I don't know if any of that changed in the contract. In the old days, it was always like a memorandum of understanding, which was 2 or 3 pages with all the changes that got posted while the contract went from red line to final. That did not get posted, so I can only, So anyway, that's what I got from that meeting, John.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this gets translated into their initial model for next year in terms of what they had forecasted last.
Right, so I don't know what they forecasted in this upcoming budget year, right? But at least we know next year, it's a little bit cheaper than it was this year, which I think is good.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's 2.75, but there are usually other levers that are going about.
Yep. So I don't know if that,
see.
I don't know if that $1,000 is the other lever, I don't know. And I was a little frustrated, like trying to, I almost started comparing two contracts, and I just don't have time for that, like, it's just too hard to do that. I did ask if there was a red line contract I could get a copy of. I was told by the school committee members that no, but I could probably do an information request, but I am not going to. Because I actually have a job. I don't have a lot of time, so I feel like we could invite the school committee member who comes next to talk about those things.
Right.
So that's my update for you on that.
Thank you.
Okay. John Grieven?
Yes, a couple quick updates. Retcom, the Flare Playground is going to close at the beginning of September. DPW's get a demo, and then the new stuff should be in place by the end of the month.
By the end of the month?
Of September. Sorry.
Oh, great.
So demo September and
quick.
finish up and put the stuff up. So get that in place. So good news there. Sustainability, we're meeting tomorrow, but a brief update from our last meeting. They sent me along an initial pay-as-you-throw model, because I said, please send it to me first before you come here. I was like, I want an initial pass at this. So I sent them a good 12-question starter, covering a variety of topics.
Wait, you sent back 12 questions?
Yes, just to kind of start.
Without even having a conversation?
Yeah.
You didn't even include any of our questions?
Yes.
That's impressive.
Right. Yeah, because I wanted to start, I wanted them to at least like get the ball rolling on kind of the questions that are going to come from us. Just things like, are we going to have to pay for stickers twice? Like, what's the breakdown of this modeling? Like, it's a household of 2. Like, what's that going to cost them? It's a household of 6. And just a whole bunch of different questions in terms of even other things like if we go to pay as you throw, there's clearly an incentive to like super stuff your trash bags so they're 50,000 pounds or just dump it on the side of the road, right? Like, have we accounted for that or talked to other towns about that? Lots of stuff like that. I haven't heard back yet, but it was just an initial model because I know even there's just logistics, where are we going to buy bags and things like that.
And the pay-as-you-throw, I assume, even if you need to buy a transfer station sticker for
That
$150.
was one of my questions.
That is one of your questions, because the seniors are free, but
Yes.
then they would be paying for their bags.
Yeah, and so that was another
Another
I'm
question.
like, yeah.
You
Yeah.
really
Yeah,
do
so-
have, you,
so-
John's like, let me channel all of these people. and all of
I'm
their
sure
questions."
all of you will have more, but I wanted to at least like, this is what's coming, so like,
Checks out.
yeah, see kind of what they have as far as that goes. And especially even just more broadly, the model showed that the transfer station is currently operating at an 80K deficit. So like, where's that coming from? How's that covered? Like, how's that going to change? What are we doing?
I'm sorry, the transfer station is,
Sticker fees versus how much it costs to run.
right, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, that's been going on.
Yeah, and I know, and we've talked about that before, but it's like, all right, so that's going to change what's going to happen, all that kind of stuff. So,
So
And it
pay
does,
as you,
it also does not include staffing costs.
yep, yeah, so.
so pay as you throw is now the new thing? Did we stop talking about contracting somebody for the whole town?
Nope, that was another one of my questions. Was like, how's that going to work? Because I'm in particular concerned about leverage. We contract out to one private hauler. If we have no options, we're out of luck, right? So like, if we would obviously have to pass a bylaw. I would rather have it kind of be like an opt-in thing where it makes financial sense for residents in town to opt in and use that private hauler. But if you really love your guy, stick with them and pay more, go for you. Because I think if we pass a bylaw and ban any other private haulers.
You won't pass the bylaw.
One, it may not pass, but even if it does, then how do we negotiate that now when they know that they?
And you'd
they're
still be
out of luck?
closing the transfer station.
No, and and that's still unanswered too, because we still have all the white goods and everything else, so, yeah.
So none of these scenarios include closing the transfer station, right?
Not that I'm aware of.
The pay-as-you-throw usually is the way you use the transfer station.
Yeah. So we'll see. But so lots of questions.
Okay.
And you've included all of these.
More to come. I don't know if I covered all of them, but it was a good starter. Yeah.
Not to
No, go for it.
belabor
We're meeting tomorrow, so I'd love to ask.
this swap shed
Yes.
has never been open.
Yes.
I've been every week. It's never open.
Yeah, so there's been limited hours because of lack of volunteers.
Okay.
I think the last couple times I was there, it was closed because one day it was like 99 degrees, and then the other time it was Pfeiffer's Day. But I do know the last couple times they said I was there, as well as limiting the hours is helping them avoid just kind of dumping, because when they were there till like 4 o'clock, everyone was just showing up and dumping everything away. And then,
Anyways, just next to the dumpster.
I think there's more. I think they're still trying to recruit more volunteers to do it.
I still don't think there needs to be volunteers, is my thing. I think that it's trash, and if someone takes all the trash,
Because the
that's
thing
great.
is, the volunteers come in, right, so it's
Yep.
it's Saturday, this Saturday, so maybe the volunteers come in on Wednesday and look, and if they gotta throw some of the stuff away because people dump trash, they could literally walk it 10 feet over to the dumpster, which is right there.
Great.
My thing is, I guess I'd like a better understanding of, like, we paid money for this swap shed, 15 grand, whatever it was.
Yep.
Do other towns have like attendants that, shame you for what you're trying to swap?
I don't think so, but I would have
Answers.
to. I'd have to ask Kate. I can ask tomorrow.
It just seems like we want this open and we want to encourage that, because here's what happens. I send stuff for the swap shed, and I say, did it get to the swap shed? He's like, it was closed. It got to the pile, which is the same pile we had in front of the same dumpster
over
for 100 years
Yeah.
before we paid $15,000 for a swap shed.
Yes.
And
That's
people
the
take stuff from there.
Yeah, that's a self-service swap shed.
That's
It
what I'm
worked
like.
perfectly well for many years.
And then at the end of the day, whatever's not taken gets thrown in the
DPW just threw it
dumpster.
away. Yep.
Right? I find the whole thing a little frustrating.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
Why have a shed?
why have a shed that
Yeah.
we paid $15,000 for when we already had a little swap area,
Could have put up a tent.
if we had to?
Could have been a swap tent.
Anyway,
Yep.
okay.
Anyway, not to belabor it, but I'm just like belaboring.
Okay. Anything else, John? Any other?
That's it.
Michelle?
CPC canceled their July meeting, and EDC has not posted their minutes, actually. So I need to catch up with Abby offline.
My turn? Okay, let's see. Fire Station Building Committee, we are proceeding. We have another visioning session, which is gonna be a little different, not quite as interactive as the last one. We're all invited and quorum will be posted. And that'll be more of, we've gotten all this information and now we're starting to put together what a design would look like. Right now, we all are kind of leaning towards a one-floor station, but we're keeping an open mind because we have to be able to situate the building. And so we're keeping an open mind that we might need a two-floor building. The closing on the property should be taking place in the next few days.
Oh, that's good.
Yep, so that should be by it was gonna be late July, but it got moved up. So I'm expecting that we're gonna hear Thursday night, a date certain, that it'll be done. And yes, for anyone who asks, all of the title issues are corrected. And we were granted title insurance, so when bank corrects you, gives you your title insurance, you're guaranteed on your title issues. So, so we're good on that. The planning board meeting last night was lovely. It was done by 9 o'clock and it was super efficient and got,
Wow.
I know, and got a ton of stuff done. They discussed, possible future, articles. There was a big conversation on whether or not, because they're always kind of in the 6-month cycle trying to push stuff through for the spring and for the fall. The fall's supposed to be for planning board meetings, planning board articles, so they're discussing that. But definitely coming to this fall, town meeting near you, is the MBTA community redo, basically. And there's 3 options on that. One option is to literally change one of the numbers to make it the area more dense, because right now, the way the spreadsheet reads, because of a broken formula is my understanding, that we don't have enough density within the district overlay that we did. So that's option 1, is to just change that number. That still becomes just a paper compliant. Option 2 is to add one other parcel to it, which means you don't have to change that number, your density is still okay, but you're still only paper compliant. And the third option is possibly adding a piece of land which you would actually be able to build new housing on, which would make us more, spirit of the law kind of compliant. So they're going to discuss that at their next meeting.
So that would be another vote at town meeting.
It has to be another vote at town meeting because we have to fix what we submitted.
Right.
And we've been granted provisional approval by the state, but we have to have it done by the end of the year.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we get put on the naughty list, apparently. Yeah. They also started discussing the fire station site plan. So there's going to be, I don't know where Alec got this date, but he's working with the fire station working group, so he got it from the engineers. Apparently in September, we're gonna be putting in like a preview site plan, and they discussed being on schedule, because the site plan typically, by law, you get it, and within 65 days, you gotta vote on it. And then there's a waiting period afterwards for appeal. What happens with our site plans is they're all constantly in agreement that we're gonna extend it, but Alex said we need to do this in 65 days because basically we cannot push out the bid process. So it looks like we're gonna have site plan in front of them, at least preliminary in September. The hybrid, they discussed going back to a hybrid meeting instead of all Zoom. And that was that meeting. Rich Gazzardi is the chair now. So, and then one other thing came up, and I was asked if FinCom, there's a piece of property in town that the town is looking to possibly put onto the agenda for the fall town meeting. And there's some preliminary talks around this piece of property. And they wanted to get numbers for bonding at $1.5 million.
For what use?
To buy the property.
For what use?
Conserve the property.
I mean,
Like conservation,
like,
Conservation, yeah.
Is there like
I
a-
don't know if it's all conservation. I think
is
there's.
it like a home or just a plot, like
It's
a
a big
field?
piece of property.
Just a big piece of
Yeah,
land?
it's a big piece of land.
Okay.
Can we say where it is?
15 acres, yeah. I mean, it's the Richardson property. I'm
Oh.
assuming this is all pretty public knowledge
Yeah,
because they're having
okay.
meetings about this. So I think what I was asked,
Are you talking about the farm that's off on Stowe Road?
no. Oh, no, up here,
Oh, the one
up
on
here.
top.
Yeah, I'm middle.
Right.
Middle
Yep.
road, yeah.
Yep. So what I was asked, if apparently they would like FinCom to provide like bonding numbers, but I think that's Emily, not us. So I just wanted to kind of,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
said I would mention it at our meeting. I also do think it's important that there's some FinCom representation on this little working group that they have.
Right.
And I'm happy to do this kind of, I don't want to go to their meetings, but I'm happy to be like a liaison back to this
Yeah,
group.
yeah.
Because I said, we don't have that bonding anywhere in our projections.
No.
Like in all the bonding projections we've done, we haven't talked about this. So,
Why don't
is
we
it,
go to affordable housing now?
well, okay. I'll tell you what, you go to that meeting and mention that. I won't be doing that.
I do property for affordable housing.
It's a possibility. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, we certainly need moderately affordable.
55 plus,
Yep. So,
no kids.
We
okay.
need more industry too.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, got
Well,
some light industry up there. Yeah.
who's going to this meeting to tell this group of people this? Not me.
If you haven't increased the tax base.
Well, that's true. This would be
That's why it's
taking
coming
property
easy.
off the tax rolls. So
Yeah.
at this point, should I just call Emily or should I go through Mike? I'm not sure how I got tasked with, can you guys get us some debt
Well,
numbers?
if you took on the action,
I didn't really. I don't go to this meeting. It was,
Oh.
again, one of these things that the question came up and I was about to take a bite of my dinner and
Yeah.
I was told, hey, oh, by the way, they want you to do this. They want FinCom to do this. And
Well,
so,
if they want, but then they haven't asked us, have they then?
Well, they're asking me to ask us.
Yeah, but you just answered your own question. It's not really our role to do.
So, all right, so
Get
I think,
projections.
okay, so what I think we need to know is that 1.5-ish is maybe out there for the fall,
Yeah.
for debt.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I can talk to, Emily or go through Mike and have Hilltop run some
Yeah, I mean, I
numbers.
think it's getting tricky, isn't it, really? Because we add one more thing on top of all the other things
I
We've
have
got
said
coming
that
up.
over and over again.
Yeah.
I think it's, I'm not sure I would support this, but that's, only because we have so much debt coming up on things that we really need.
Like a potential override?
There's a potential override,
Yeah.
the school's looking for capital, which
Yeah.
I also may not support, but we'll see. And we need a fire station, like, that's
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
that's not a nice to have anymore.
Buying a piece of land when we have a potential override sounds a bit of a stretch.
Well, okay.
We'll see.
So we'll get to vote on that
Yeah,
article when it
yeah,
comes forward.
yeah.
But I will, all right.
But no, I
will-
think you're right. I think any calculations about the money, it's not really our function
No.
to be providing the financial number crunching.
That's how I felt. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
I
that's-
wanted to check, make sure, but I do want to make sure that it gets on our radar. So
Yeah.
when you guys are doing financial models.
Yeah.
You, and the goal is to do, pretty much what they did on Sergeant Road, right? Like
Yeah.
that ended up costing, let's say it was $2 million. At the end of the day, the town only needed to come up with 300,000.
Yeah,
And that's,
if
I
it's like that,
think,
it's
the
fine, yeah.
potential,
Yeah.
that's what they're looking to do, but they
Yeah.
want they need a starting number. Worst
Yeah.
case scenario, it's this.
Yeah.
Best case, 300,000 we paid out of free cash.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
and that was a good deal at the end.
Yeah, yeah, no, but you get some support from
Right,
different
and they're,
places,
all
Yeah.
the stakeholders are involved,
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
All right, and that's all I've got.
Maria, is the land flat there or is it hilly?
We looked at it for the I mean, I don't know, I mean, I think it's,
If you walk back there, it's fairly hilly, actually.
yeah, but not, I mean, and it backs up to basically a slope like this that comes up behind DPW,
Yeah.
which is like,
But the adjacent land, which is still
right
farmland.
there, it's still
is-
farmland.
That's all pretty hilly there, I
Yeah,
think.
so,
Yeah.
I mean, you can
see
see,
what you're saying.
standing on the road, you can see that you've got to drive up, kind of behind the house.
No,
You may be able to get, I don't know, I mean, I would ask that question.
Oh, I will.
Okay. I would go to Alec with that question, because he's sort of working with this working group.
Okay.
Always looking for that softball field,
Yeah.
which I don't think is a bad thing. So, okay.
okay. So I've been having conversations with the school committee and Acton FinCom and Acton Select Board about this tri-board meeting for the fall. So I had discussed with Roland Burden, who's the chair of the FinCom, that that the two FinComs co-chair the meeting, and we hold it here in Boxborough.
Excellent.
So that was our idea. Alicia, who's on the Acton FinCom, I think she's
No,
chair.
select board.
Select board, sorry,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't think she's chair though, is she? I think she's just on it. I think she's, anyway, she was very keen that the school committee should still run it as we did it last time. The school committee said, no, we're done.
Yeah, because they sent that out. Tori sent that out, yeah.
We don't want to do it. So it's bounced back. I think it will be us organising it.
The two FinComs.
The two FinComs.
And we're setting the agenda.
And we'll set the agenda, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think last time it was just kind of a nothing burger.
Yeah, and that's right. That's what Alicia wanted. She wanted more of a,
Like,
all
what
let's
are
all
we
share our
doing?
thoughts and feelings
Yeah.
type thing. And the idea that I talked to Ronan about was that we need to make it a financial modelling meeting.
Yes.
It's what John Knowles had talked about. It's the idea that we look at the school budget projection for say 5 years, look at our projections, look at Acton's projections. What are all the sort of like moving parts in that, and what does it look like in terms of who needs to do overrides and not overrides and whatever, and trying to understand what's driving all of this.
And
what we can do.
he was okay with that?
Yes.
Good, because
Yeah, I
think
mean,
that's what need.
we deferred the conversation because he had no time at that point. I was going away to the UK, but I said when I'm back to the UK, we'll have a conversation about it and thrash out a bit more detail about the actual agenda and what it looks like. So that's
Pick a date.
a bigger date, yeah. So the question is how early to have that, because we need enough information in our hands, I suppose, to have the meeting. But don't be too late in doing it.
Yeah, I think Didn't we do September, late September?
September, maybe, yeah, September, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's probably a good time.
What do you think, John? You're the modelling guru.
I'm wondering if that's a little early. I mean, I mean, we can go with September, but, I don't know.
So you think October's better?
Yeah, I would, I don't know, I'm kind of plucking here, but yeah,
Yeah.
September, second half, bottom half of September, early October would be.
Yeah, I'm in October.
Okay. I don't care, as long as the agenda is one that is actually about numbers
Like substantial.
and not, yeah, touchy-feely. We all know where we're at. We're
Yeah.
in a really bad place, both towns
Yeah.
are struggling to take a really small pie and spread it out as much as we can. So I think we can get past, we discussed that last year.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
good.
Yeah, okay. Has anyone got a few minutes to go through the list, what we need to put on the list? Here's what's on my list right now. You've got some additions to it. You got a few minutes to do that?
Yeah, sure. We're here anyway.
So the list that I have is on the screen here. Let me share it on Zoom. The list. I know there's a few more things to add to this. So the audit stuff, I think we did. We've been to that list of audit issues. The future audit question was, we need to update the financial policy to make sure we get all future audits, I think. So we haven't done that yet. That's pretty straightforward, I think. The reserve fund was to update the policy. Oh, that's what, this was to update, maybe update the policy to allow the use of free cash to fund it.
So there's two things with that. Right, that and the
Yeah.
form, right?
And the form.
And put procedures with the policy to be clear.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
a how to use the form.
Yeah, yeah. And
So-
to use free cash to fund that.
Yeah.
So do a separate article, so that's, yeah, two different things.
So it's really the form and the policy.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Somehow you want to communicate that to the department heads.
Yeah, the policy, and I guess it's really reserve fund and budget transfer, right? Policy.
Well, that would be
Is
two
that-
different things.
Is that a separate thing? Okay.
I think that, yeah, I think it should
Yeah.
be two separate things.
So closing old articles was reviewing all the old ATM warrant articles, what's out there, can any be removed, which would require a town meeting.
So does it require town meeting? So in the past, we've always brought that to town meeting, because we were told it needed to go back to town meeting. Mike didn't think so, and we were waiting to hear from an attorney as to whether or not it does or not. But I also think that even if it doesn't go to town meeting, I think it should be voted on by the select board and the FinCom.
Yeah,
We should review it before it gets just to throw
okay,
back
so
into
it's a
free
financial
cash.
policy issue, basically.
Yep.
Revolving accounts, we need to review all these accounts we've got and
Oh, yep.
what's being used. Should the maximum, what's on the balances, what the balances and should we, close them out or whatever.
What it's being used for and what the balances are, right?
Yeah, and its usage.
Mhm.
Building inspection fees, there's a possible change there, we need to understand what that's going to be.
But
I
that's
think-
not a policy.
It's not a policy, no, it's just updating our knowledge of what that is. Overlay reserve funds, I think we need to know what the assessor's policy is going to be, because they have full choice of what that is. We need to understand what it's going to be, because that has an impact on the budget. Similarly, periodic revaluation costs. And what's that going to cost us in the future? Where do we stand on that?
Okay.
Transfer station fees
And field fees.
and field fees, yeah.
But that's also just a review, that's not a policy.
Correct, yeah.
Um,
So then we've got budget transfers, which we think is a
Yeah.
matter of urgency. It's really budget transfers versus reserve fund transfers.
Yeah, that'll
that,
be,
like,
the
goes
that'll
into
be,
the
yeah.
policy situation.
So this is a financial policy.
I have one more. I wrote down vacation liability. I don't know why I wrote that down, but I wrote it
Well,
down in our
there was an
list.
issue in the audit, wasn't it, I think?
That was a question in the audit. Is
Yeah.
that why?
Yeah.
So I think vacation liability, it was in my list of policies. So, and I've literally just been writing like a list of policies. So,
Yeah.
I don't know, we'll have to go back to the audit and see what that is and then go from there.
Yeah. Are there any other things?
That's all I had on my list. I went back and looked today and made sure that in my notes.
Okay.
Do you guys remember anything else?
No, I was
Okay.
relying on
Are we
you.
sure? Did we close up all of the audit items?
I thought we closed all those issues out.
I thought we did too.
There was,
We had a tracker that,
we had a tracker, and you know what? I threw my tracker. I recycled it today. There may have been a couple things open, but like, not open, nothing, it was like,
Nothing that's going to sort of.
nothing actionable.
yeah,
Yeah.
nothing actionable,
It
exactly.
was just like, do better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
on
yeah,
certain
yeah,
things.
yeah.
Do better.
I mean, that was the
True.
outcome of like
Yeah.
these 3 line
Yes.
items.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
Okay.
yeah, okay.
Alright.
Okay, so,
Alright.
I'll talk, I'll also share this with Mike, I think, so he knows what's on our mind here. But I'll have to put it on the agenda for future I'll start to put these things on the agenda for future meetings.
and some of this is our stuff, and some of it is gonna be the stuff like, because remember last time we did it? I sat with Mike and wrote the policies with him, right?
Yeah.
But some of it is our control, so FinCom voted it and then sent it to the select board. And then some of it was under the select board's control, which would be like the closeout of old articles would be under the select board's
Yeah.
control. But then it came, so they voted first, so that's the stuff we have to look at as we get to each thing. Because reserve fund is completely ours, budget transfers is completely ours, audit is both, but, and the revolving fund is ours.
Yeah,
The the revolving fund would be theirs. So we
Right.
can look at it as we go through them, who's got to vote first and look at them and stuff.
Yeah,
And you
yeah.
and Mike can review that. The biggest thing is, I think, before the revolving fund, the reserve fund being funded out of free cash, that should be right under reserve fund / budget transfers, right? That needs to be a high priority, because as we get into budget season, we're gonna wanna know if we're taking that out of the budget or not.
yeah, and I think, wasn't the idea that it would be optional anyway, right? It wouldn't be we'd always fund it out of free cash. Wouldn't it be we would have the option of doing that?
Well, no, it was gonna be, are we gonna take this out of the budget? Because then we can't put it back in the budget once we take it out. So we take it out of the budget and make, basically an article that we would then add to, so we would say it needs to be $180,000.
Yeah,
So we'd fund it the first year at $180,000, just like we do the budget.
right,
And then, that's what we talked about, what would be the mechanism to replenish this account as we use it?
yeah,
So that was the part that we didn't really, we
Yeah.
had to work through.
yeah. And do we want to do it anyway?
And do we want to do it, right? So before we work
Yeah.
out all of those. The other thing is, if we're gonna do it, we are starting to add back dispatch. So that's gonna be a good chunk. So, if we're gonna do it, this might be strategically, when do we want to remove that from the budget, but then put in, dispatch so that the budget doesn't soar from one item.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's always strategic.
Yeah.
That's a conversation.
Yeah.
So-
Okay, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Maybe a second?
Seconded.
Okay.
Connor, aye.
Grab an eye?
Neil and, oh,
Ryan, I.
Neil and I.
Newton, aye.
Neil
We
is
are
tired.
Officially adjourned.
Neil does want to adjourn.
Honest, Connor?